All right, I'm trying to stall a little bit because I am going to be making this into like a YouTube video. So I'm trying to think of like an intro off the top of my head. Do the Mr. Beast intro style. Okay, that I could probably do just because it's like so over the top and stupid that I feel like my improv could probably highlight that. But also, I hate that intro style. Today, I'm going to be ranking all 150 Jokers in Balatro, and I'm going to be ranking them based on the context of playing the Gold Stake, which is the hardest difficulty in Balatro. I feel like that was a pretty good Mr. Beast intro. Got all the hand movement. I was really loud for no reason. I said a lot of words, but only like 5 of them actually mattered. We are doing the Gold Stake Joker tier list. I promised that we would do this when I got Completionist Plus Plus, which is getting a gold sticker on every Joker. And it's been like 2 months since I did that because I completely forgot to do it for this amount of time. But now I'm finally doing it because I saw Turtle Bean make their tier list, and I was like, oh, I promised my chat that I would also do that, and I just haven't. So now we're locking in on this. I finally got a day. As for my expertise, I have all of the completionist achievements in Balatro. I play almost exclusively Gold Stake on my streams. If you watch any of my other videos, it is more than likely me playing modded Gold Stake, which doesn't really count for any kind of expertise here, but I play a lot of vanilla Gold Stake. I have an 8 Gold Stake win streak, rotating decks, which is not a lot, but it's more than you. So I know everything and you don't. Also in the description, keep it on my Twitch page at all times, but I have a spreadsheet of all of my Gold Stake win-loss ratio for every single deck since I've gotten Completionist Plus Plus. So if you're like, man, this guy's ranking X Joker at like B tier when I think it should be S tier, what is this guy, an idiot? Maybe if my Gold Stake win-loss is lower than yours, you could call me an idiot, but that's my qualification for making this tier list. Obviously, this is a very in-depth game, and your playstyle in Gold Stake, you know, not every Gold Stake seed is going to have just one optimal route to get through it. So obviously, if you disagree with me, jokes aside, you're not wrong. That's, you know, this is a very in-depth game, and it only gets like more fleshed out the deeper you get into it. Pause? I don't know. So like if I rank a Joker that you really like as low, and you're like, hey, actually this Joker should be higher, I think, and you're stupid and a dum-dum silly pants and I hate you, put that in the comments, and I'll probably get back to you because I read most, if not all, of the comments on my videos. So like if I rank something low and you're like, hey, you're stupid, I'll be like, no, I'm not. Or maybe I'll be like, yeah, I actually am. Okay, anyway, I'm really bad at YouTube intros, so let's actually just get into it. Jimbo starting off. So when I did this, when I announced that I was going to do this tier list yesterday, because I'm very organized, my chat made fun of me because I'm a huge yapper, and probably this video is going to be quite long. Editor, subtle foreshadowing meme here, if this is like 2 hours plus. But my chat was like, yeah, there's probably going to be Jokers that, you know, are yapped about more than others, right? Like Jimbo, we're probably not going to be spending a lot of time on. Jimbo's a yap sesh. Jimbo, obviously not good late game. Obviously not good late game. +4 molt, that's literally all he does. Pretty cheeks late game. Not worth the Joker slot whatsoever after like probably ante 2, maybe even ante 1. But Jimbo has one niche. He has one thing that he does, and he does it quite well, and that is he costs $1. Not literally. You buy him for $2, but you buy him for $2 and sell him for $1. So overall, he costs you $1. Maybe he ends up costing you $2 if you're buying him and going like below an interest threshold for him. But for $1, Jimbo gets you through the entirety of ante 1 in one hand if you can find like the winning flush or what have you. And he's not even that bad into ante 2, depending on what you're doing. And considering he's only $1, for him to give you that much strength, he's actually not bad in the early game at all. Like Jimbo, you know, memes aside, he's kind of an early game warrior on like pretty much any deck, man. I'm gonna put Jimbo in D tier. Jimbo D tier seems pretty good. Doc's advertising you for the tier list, saying you're 30 minutes in, not knowing what that means for you. Well, Doc probably has just never watched me and doesn't know that I'm like the biggest Yapatron of all time, is what I would assume there. But like if Vagabond was advertising me because Vagabond knows me better, or especially like Unseen, he would be like, damn, 40 minutes and there's already one Joker on the tier list? Damn, he's making pretty good time. The suits Jokers. I don't think there's really any niche to be had with the different suits that puts any of the suits Jokers below or above each other, if that makes sense. Like, I don't think, even though maybe Hearts is better because Bloodstone exists, I don't think you actually take that into consideration when you pick any of these up. These are pretty much the same as Jimbo. They're okay. Flushes, as much as I despise them for gold stake in the long term, in the short term for the early game, flushes are not bad at all, right? And any of the suits Jokers, if you pick up a greedy Joker right here and play a Diamonds Flush, it's a plus 15 molt. Banana is a plus 15 molt. Mystic Summit is a plus 15 molt. I don't like Mystic Summit that much, and we'll get into that when I get to Mystic Summit, but like, plus 15 molt for the early game is not terrible at all. So probably these go in D tier. I'll put them below Jimbo, probably once I get to like ranking a ton of these Jokers. The order in each tier or category or what have you is not going to matter that much. But I'll put him below Jimbo. I think Jimbo, for what he's worth, does more than these. I also just, like I said, I don't like flushes, so I really don't like the suits Jokers, but like, they're kind of adjacent to Jimbo. They do the thing, they do it well, and then you get out of them. And that's also the same for all of these. Next, I think there's 10 of these Jokers, which is like Jolly Joker, Wily Joker, and etc. and so on. These just like very basic, like gives you this much flat molt or this much chips if you're playing the hand that they correspond with. Probably I'm going to rank these, the flat molt Jokers, the chip Jokers, and the corresponding X molt Jokers if I can find them. Yeah, down here. Just because to rank these, I'm going to go into a little bit of the context of like the hands that you play to rank them. Pairs are the B&B of gold stake. Pairs are what you play if you're trying to win streak. That's all I'm going to say there. I think, you know, every seed has a build besides pairs that can probably win, but if you are trying to force a build, if you try to force pairs on like 90% of seeds, regardless of deck, probably you're going to be fine. Pairs are disgusting. So Jolly Joker and Sly Joker. Sly Joker I'm actually going to put at C tier, which is, I think, the first controversial take of the entire list, but I think molt is much more prevalent in the grand scheme of gold stake in comparison to chips. And I think the 50 chips that Sly Joker provides, big exclamation mark for the follow, welcome in. I think the 50 chips that Sly Joker provides, I mean, you get Sly Joker and even a Jolly Joker Sly Joker, you can just spam pairs for the first couple of antes, rack up some money, try and get to that interest cap. Interest cap of $25 in the bank is like a phenomenal way of increasing your gold stake odds. Like, Sly Joker's not bad at all, I'm not gonna lie. And then the duo, again, because pairs are so good. A lot of people don't like the duo because it's a rare and it's 2x molt. So I think the line of thinking is like maybe a rare that only gives me 2 times molt is a little underwhelming. But I think duo is like not bad. Would I put it in the always takeable category? No. But I think duo times just a flat ×2 if you play a pair. Pretty easy condition to fill. You're probably going to be playing pairs anyway. Duo's not bad. Okay, so the 3 of a kind Jokers of each. I think 3 of a kind, there's some advantage to playing 3 of a kind on erratic deck. There is actually, I think, a pretty sizable advantage to playing 3 of a kind on abandoned deck. And that's just because both of those decks give you like built-in deck fixing that makes 3 of a kind much more. It essentially makes 3 of a kind as common as like maybe 2 pair on those decks, which at that point just play 3 of a kind, because like you're not going to be able to play it that much anyway, so you can have some fun with maybe a more niche build, and also it's just going to score you more points. But outside of that, I think 3 of a kind is like pretty bad. Outside of the decks that literally give you deck fixing right off the bat, I think 3 of a kind is normally a pretty bad hand. So probably plus 12 molt. I think this guy gives plus 12 molt is like not bad whatsoever. So I'll put him above Jimbo just because this can get you through probably all the way through ante 2. But I think it's not that good. I'll put the chips Joker slightly above him, and then the trio. Trio works with like flush house for like big games, but overall, I just like ×3 is a lot, but there's a lot of Jokers that give you ×3 that have a far less oppressive condition than having to play a hand that contains a 3 of a kind. So probably I think trio's average. I don't take it hardly at all. I think when you are able to take it, it does a lot of work. But, I mean, there's a lot of uncommon jokers that give you ×3 for far less oppressive conditions, I'm not going to lie. Mad Jokers, this is the 2-pair thing, so there isn't a corresponding X-Molt Joker for the 2-pair guy. 2-pair is, like, not bad, right? It's like ever so slightly less consistent than pairs. I think this is still fine for early game. I would put both of these as fine for early game. If you're building 2-pair on 9 out of 10 runs, I'm just gonna ask you, why are you not building pairs? And maybe sometimes you'll give me a good answer, like maybe you're playing Plasma deck where Mad Joker wouldn't matter, so bad example. But maybe you're playing Plasma deck where you just want the more chips from the planet level, or maybe you're playing Abandoned deck where 2-pair is like probably just as likely to happen as pair. So then, like, you know, there are some cases, but usually I think pair is pretty comparable to 2-pair, and it's just easier to find. But that's not to say that 2-pair is bad whatsoever. I think it's just like slightly outclassed. Crazy Joker and Devious Joker. Probably, as much as it pains me to say, I think they're both still above Jimbo. 100 chips, especially on Devious Joker, is a lot for the early game. And then the order, probably I would put below Trio and C tier. Pains me to say, because I love me a straight build every once in a while, but straights are just not consistent at all. Once again, depending on deck, if you're playing Painted deck, probably you can play straights with absolutely no issue, and that would be completely fine. But on the vast majority of Gold Stake builds, straights are just not going to be what you're wanting to do, unless you... My one caveat, and we'll get to it in the tier list, and I'm probably going to rank it higher than a lot of other people would, I think Shortcut in Gold Stake is a fantastic way of playing straights, just based off of vibe. Well, I'll get to Shortcut when we get to Shortcut, but if you have Shortcut, straights are a pretty damn good build, a pretty damn fine point scoring, good old-fashioned American build. But other than that, like, early game straights are going to be just worse than, like, 3 of a kind and stuff like that. And probably you're only going to be able to play, unless you have, like, godlike deck fixing intuition, or you have some other kind of technology that enables straights. Probably you're only going to be able to play 1, maybe 2 per blind, which hurts a lot, especially with the -1 discard and higher stakes. Like, yeah, I just don't think, as much as I really think straight builds are fun, I don't think they're good. I don't think they're consistent at all. So probably Devious and Crazy Joker at the bottom of these, like, mid-esque jokers. Droll Joker and Crafty Joker. Now, this is where I'm going to have probably a very controversial take, and I'm going to say, do I think these are worse than the straights Jokers? At face value, no. These are probably even above the 3 of a kind Jokers, so I'll put them here in the D tier. And then where is Tribe? Tribe is right here. I would still put Tribe in C tier, but I would put it maybe above Sly Joker, because like a flat ×2 is pretty good. Flush is consistent. The problem with Flush is, yet again, my problem with 2-pair, but just like far more exaggerated. If you're playing a Flush run in Gold Stake, I would ask you, why are you not just playing pair? Because the Jupiter Planet card scales relatively at the same level as Mercury. Yes, it does give you more base mult, the Jupiter card, but generally your mult is not really going to be a problem just because of the presence of X-Molt Jokers and X-Molt on trigger and stuff like that. Generally, your chips from your planet cards is going to be the number that you're more concerned with. So usually, Jupiter and Mercury, you could treat them as though they were like the exact same scaling for Gold Stake. And, you know, if I ask you, if you're playing a Flush build, hey, why aren't you just playing pairs? Sometimes there's a perfectly valid reason. I think the most valid reason is I found an Ancient Joker. If you find an Ancient Joker in Gold Stake, I feel like that is the most justified Flush pivot of all time. Ancient Joker is damn near a free win in Gold Stake, as long as it's not like Rental or something. And even then, Ancient Joker is so polarizing that I think Rental Ancient Joker is like insane tech. Probably we don't need any of these like Flush Jokers if we're playing Flushes, but like, you know, there's some exceptions to why aren't you playing pairs. Photo Chat is also another good one. Photo Chat is like the one pretty good example of if you have higher base mult from the Jupiter card. Maybe if you're playing Photo Chad, you want like 2 flushes per round as opposed to like 4 pairs. Generally, with Photo Chad, I would still say pairs better, just out of consistency. But you know, maybe the higher base mult matters more for Photo Chad. So I would be fine if you said that you were playing flushes if you had like Photo Chad. But generally, outside of like X mult on trigger and builds such as, flushes score the exact same amount of points, plus or minus like marginal amounts, and they're just way harder to find than pairs. A pair, you have to work actually not at all to find a pair in your opening hand, whereas on every deck except probably Checkered, you're going to have to use all of your discards to find one flush unless you get really lucky, and it's going to score you like an okay amount of points. I just am not a big fan of flushes whatsoever for Gold Stake, which is why I would put, you know, again, these are like early game pieces to where you're probably not running a Crafty Joker and Ante-7, so like in an ideal world, Ante-2, a Crafty Joker is going to be better than a Devious Joker, just because with like no deck fixing and no other technology. Flushes are kind of the early game goats, but if you're playing flushes after like Ante-3 or Ante-4, I really have to question your sanity or just hope that you have some kind of other technology like Photo Chat or something that I mentioned. That's giving you that extra boost that you're going to need to beat pair builds, right? All right, now we're out of like all of the early game warriors. We'll come across a few more over the course of the list, but now we're going to be getting to like more niche strategies and more niche jokers. Halvesies. Dare I say, Halvesies is our second B tier. I think Halvesies is above average. I don't think it's an only early game joker. It's strongest in the early game. I will definitely give you that. Maybe I would put it below Duo, actually. I still don't think it's a C tier joker. I might be off my rocker here. I think Halvesies is incredibly consistent. Plus 20 mult is not bad at all for like early to mid game range. It's a little bit annoying to only be able to cycle 3 cards at a time, but if you're playing pairs like you should be doing on Gold Stake, probably don't care that much at the end of the day. Halvesies Sly Joker is another combo where you can just pretty much spam pairs for the first like 2 to 3 antes. It's a great pivot in the early game. If you find a Halvesies in like your ante 1 shop, you're gonna be just like congratulating the game and just being like, thank you for allowing me to play pairs, because Halvesies with any chip joker, like I said, is going to make your pairs score a bunch of points, and you're going to be able to just build upon that framework for pairs quite a bit. I don't think it's like anything that I would take into the late game or even into like the latter part of mid game. Like if you're having a half joker in like ante 6, probably you're not doing something right, but it's incredibly solid. I would probably say it is towards the lower end of being above average. If we're assuming that a flat C grade is average, maybe Halvesies is more equivalent to like a C plus. Maybe he's just barely passing that advanced placement threshold, so to speak. But I would still say he's there for sure. Stencil, I don't know how I feel about Stencil. Stencil's really weird because for what it does, it's like not a bad X-Molt Joker, and you can get some very funny runs, obviously, where you have multiple Stencils. And on pretty much any deck aside from maybe Painted, depending on what you're doing, if you have multiple Stencils or like a negative Stencil, like somebody in YouTube chat just said, probably you're going to be fine for the entire run. But just Stencil on its own without like an Onk or an Invis Joker, I really don't like, because you want to be filling your Joker slots. Especially, again, we're gonna come back to the meta quite a bit, the pair meta being the way to go for Gold Stake. That's gonna be mentioned probably 1,000 times in this video. But like, it's a fun Joker to play with. It's a good Joker. For pairs, you probably only need this to be making ×2 for it to be getting you out of blinds. But like, a lot of the times it's just preventing you from having something better in your lineup. Like if you're running this with a ×2 multiplier on it, that means you're playing essentially 2 Joker slots down, because maybe you could get another X-Molt Joker that's like a 3X Molt, because those are not uncommon in this video game, and then you could have like another Econ piece. Probably I would put this, I would even say like low, like high D tier. I feel like that fits. I feel like high D tier fits for Stencil. It's, if you can get a run with it off the ground, it's fun. If you can get like a double Stencil run, that will be some of the most fun that you can have in Gold Stake. But in isolation, it's just not that good. It's going to be preventing you from running better things that you want to be running to be generating value. I just don't enjoy it that much. Four Fingers. Chat, again, this is probably just because of my personal bias, because I don't like flushes. And I also kind of don't like straights either for Gold Stake the more that I play Gold Stake. This is probably controversial. I'm tossing Four Fingers an F, man. Is it a fun Joker to play around? You know, you get the classic, like, Reddit combo where somebody finds Four Fingers with Shortcut, and they play, like, the goofiest hand of all time, and those two Jokers just carry it to being a straight flush. So there's a lot of fun value for it, but, like, man, probably the last time that I picked up Four Fingers in a run was when I got my gold sticker on it, and probably the last time I picked it up before that was when I was still trying to get C+. I genuinely cannot remember the last time that I played Four Fingers in a run, and it did literally anything besides give me temperance value. Again, if you get the Shortcut Four Fingers combo, it's fun value, but it's not a good Joker. And especially, again, with me not liking flushes that much for Gold Stake, it's just not really doing anything for me. If you want to play straights with Four Fingers, I mean, you kind of got to run with what the game gives you, but like Shortcut is so much more consistent for straight builds. Four Fingers, in the grand scheme, is not really doing anything for you to be able to play straights. If I'm just keeping it a stack, it is making flushes, admittedly, a decent bit easier to play, but it's making straights, like, just based off of vibes. Obviously, I don't have data to back this up with, but like, it feels like it makes straights 10% easier to play, which is just not worth the Joker slot. I don't know. I really dislike Four Fingers. Mime, I don't know where to put it, honestly. Mime is like a very... It's in a very weird liminal space for me, where whenever I take it, it generates value. Mime doubles your steel triggers. That's probably the least notable thing it does in Gold Stake, honestly, but like doubling steel triggers is still pretty damn good. There's a lot of held in hand Jokers that it combos with. Mime is like the only way that you are ever going to get Baron to work in Gold Stake, unless you have like the best seed of all time. But usually the two things that you care about for Mime are it doubles your gold triggers and it doubles your blue seal triggers. Blue seals are like the best and most easy way to win Gold Stake runs. Blue seal pair builds just pop off and win games. So if you're doubling your planet level output from blue seals with Mime, I say doubling because like if you have one in hand, you get two triggers. Obviously with blueprint and stuff, maybe it doesn't double, but I digress. Whenever I take it, it is generating value, but I don't take it hardly ever. It's in a very weird liminal space where like it does a fantastic job whenever it ends up in my Joker lineup, but it is very rarely there. Maybe like 1 out of every 20 to 30 runs, I will take a Mime for more than like a handful of blinds. I don't know. I want to put it in like above average. Damn near I would put this as our first A-tier Joker, but just like it feels awkward. Maybe it's just a skill issue on my part and I'm not fitting it in where I should be. But like, again, this is an insane econ Joker when you pick it up, but I almost never find myself picking it up. I'm going to put it in above average just because I think the job that it does for you as an econ Joker is fantastic. But I'm going to put it at the low end just because, like, if I checked my stats, I would assume for Gold Stake that Mime is in, like, my bottom half of used Gold Stake Jokers. I don't know. I'm going to keep it low B. Probably it does deserve high B a bit more, but I don't know. Credit card. Credit card I think is F. Credit card's really bad. The one, I'm gonna put it above Four Fingers. It's not below Four Fingers in my mind. I'm gonna put it at the very tip top of F, and probably it will stay at the very tip top of F. The one niche that credit card has is that you buy it for $1 and sell it for $1. Credit card is effectively free. So the one niche that credit card has in this entire video game, well, there's two niches that it has. It gives you plus $1 of temperance value whenever you see it in the shop. And additionally, it has a very specific but sometimes very polarizing niche of if you take it in ante 1 when you're like guaranteed to not have money. Sometimes ante 1 credit card, you'll see like a rare joker that you can just build your entire run around and be chillin'. Like ante 1 blueprint is the big like Reddit meme, obviously, of credit card in the buffoon pack. Unironically, pretty good niche for credit card. Other than that, like you're never taking a credit card unless you A, have a free joker slot with no other options, or B, are in ante 1, right? So like it's way too niche to be considered anything above F tier. But the niches that it has once in a blue moon can actually be really good. Dagger. Where are we putting Dagger? Is Dagger always takeable? Surely not. But as much as I don't like Dagger, as much as I wish Dagger did something else, the more I play Gold Stake, and specifically the more I play Gold Stake with Dagger, I am forced to admit it's pretty good. I think I would put it above average. Pretty much, I think I can't see a single scaling Molt Joker besides maybe 1 or 2 going below B tier, and I think Dagger is completely fine to put it B tier as above average. I really used to not like Dagger, and I'm still not a fan of Dagger's playstyle. It gives you less plus molt per dollar, or the same plus molt per dollar, sorry, as like the common plus molt scalers like Grimbo, Bus, etc. and so on. Gives you the same amount of plus molt per dollar, with the caveat that, yeah, you can scale it faster, yeah, you can decide to stop scaling it whenever, but as long as you are scaling it because it eats the Joker before you go into the blind, unless you're doing like some judgment tech every single blind, you're always playing a Joker slot down with Dagger. Now that doesn't really matter in the early game, because probably in the early game you're not always going to be playing with 5 Jokers anyway, but it is kind of awkward at times to just be playing a Joker slot down. I think Dagger is a fine plus molt scaler. Like I said, all of the plus molt scalers are pretty much really good. But I don't know. It's just a personal thing with me. I don't love the playstyle. Also, I really hate the QTE that Dagger makes you do every time you go into a blind. If you're not putting it to the left of an Eternal, you're always just running the risk of like accidentally killing. Especially since it's a plus molt piece, probably it's going to be on the left side of some cracked X molt piece anyway. If that X molt is not Eternal, you are always running the risk of accidentally just murdering your entire run because you forget to move the Dagger. Which, at the end of the day, is it a skill issue? Absolutely. Is it still annoying? Absolutely. So I feel completely fine putting Dagger at B. Probably some people would put it at A. Probably some other people would put it at S, but I think it's fine for me at B tier. Okay, slight tier rework, because I'm starting to realize that having 3 like super high tiers kind of doesn't make sense with where this is going. Anyway, Banner, D tier, I think is very acceptable for Banner. Again, sort of along the same lines as Sly Joker, where like if you're playing pairs with Banner, it's not going to be a bad thing whatsoever. Pairs need chips, especially in like the early to mid game before you get your blue seals, before you get your Mercury levels. Banner can be a source of those chips. But sort of along the same lines of why I don't like Mystic Summit that much. Being forced, or like Mystic Summit I don't like for the opposite reason, I should say. Banner makes it so that you can't use discards ever if you want the chips, and Mystic Summit makes it so that you are forced to use your discards. And I think discards have a lot of synergies where you don't want either of those to be the case. You always want to be able to use your discards at your discretion to get value from them. So I think Banner is it's not good. Also, Banner is like incredibly neutered by Blue Stake's just entire existence. This goes from being 90 chips on Black Stake and below, which is already like not fantastic at the cost of 30 chips per discard. And then you lose that discard in Blue Stake, and suddenly it goes from 90 chips to 60 chips if you don't use any discards, which is really bad for Banner. I think Banner is one of the jokers that maybe in a Gold Stake context it'll be better when we get our discard back after the Blue Stake rework, but I would even just like, I wouldn't mind a banner rework is what I'm getting at. Banner feels bad if it, in all contexts, if it's not like anti-3 exactly. Mystic Summit is just early game. I don't like Mystic Summit, I'm not gonna lie. Being forced to use your discards is unfun for the same reason that Banner prevents you from using them. Again, if you have like a mail-in rebate, you are either going to be not getting any molt from Mystic Summit, or you are going to be potentially losing mail-in rebate value if you just get unlucky with your top decks. 15 molt is a lot. Banana is 15 molt, and I think Banana is probably an average Joker for the grand scheme of the game, but is an above average Joker for the early game. But Mystic Summit's just like not that good. I don't know. It's very unfun for what it does, which normally, like, I don't know. Normally I wouldn't let that polarize it into a tier, but like it's not, I don't think it's average. I think being forced to use all of your discards for a payout is almost always bad. Marble Joker. A lot of people say that they like Marble Joker in my chat. I don't know if that's like a meme. I don't know if I'm being rage baited or if like people actually kind of genuinely like Marble Joker. I could see it being a decent chips Joker. Stones, again, on pair builds are actually like not bad at all. But stones are good in the context of you using a tower tarot card to make something in your existing deck into a stone. I think adding rocks into your deck, just random stone cards on top of like the 52 cards that you start with, is almost always bad. Even in pair builds where deck fixing usually doesn't matter. I think Marble Joker is just really bad. It can be really fun with hologram. I'll give it that. Marble Joker hologram runs are very funny for the same reason that certificate hologram runs are very funny, because it just auto scales the hologram and you fill your deck with a bunch of rocks. But if you have an auto scaling hologram, that kind of doesn't matter because hologram is broken. But Marble Joker is just really bad outside of that. I think it crowds your deck with things that once you get out of like anti-3, you're just not going to care about any of the rocks probably. I just don't like it whatsoever. Too bad we can't do stone card flush 5s. I will remake this entire tier list if in the Balatro 1.1 update we are able to make flush 5 rocks, and I will put Marble Joker in S tier. Not even kidding. Not even kidding. You can clip this. Loyalty card. Loyalty card is the definition of F tier in my mind. Too niche. Loyalty card has exactly one niche to its name. Albeit, it's a pretty good niche, I'm not going to lie. But it has one niche with one Joker. And that is loyalty card on burglar runs is essentially just always a better acrobat. That's it. That's all that loyalty card does. Outside of that, I don't think I've ever taken this Joker in my entire life outside of getting the gold sticker on it and in multiplayer where it's actually pretty good for PvP blinds, but this is gold stake, not multiplayer. This is bottom of F tier. This loyalty card might genuinely be my least favorite Joker in the game. I really don't like loyalty card. It's not bueno. Next we have 8 Ball. 8 Ball is probably, people are probably expecting me to put this in F tier. And it could definitely just be because I overvalue it, because I am like somewhat ingrained in the multiplayer Balatro community where it's like actually a really good pick. But tarot cards are slept on, man, for gold stake. Again, even in pair meta where like deck fixing doesn't really matter, tarot cards are still econ, dude. And any way that you can get them is pretty good. It's definitely not F tier. I would put it bottom of D. It's sort of along the same lines as Photograph in my mind, where it's really bad in a vacuum, but the instant that you get any retriggers that work with it, Red Seal 8, especially Hanging Chad, stuff of that nature, 8 Ball pops off. 8 Ball Chad is like A tier, unironically. 8 Ball's, it's really bad in isolation, but the second you get any retriggers, even as a 1 in 4 chance, it just becomes a tarot card printer, which is in like insane value. Misprint. This is gonna be the first ranking that I make that I disagree with. Misprint is not an F tier by any means. Misprint is 0 through 23 molt. It's not bad whatsoever. For the early game especially. but I'm putting it in F tier because he's whiffed way too many times for me, and I hate him. He's not consistent, and he always gives you +0 when you need his molt the most. He always gives you +0 when you need like a +16. Always. I have recorded evidence of this. He's definitively like pretty high in D tier, I would say. I'm giving him F tier. I don't care. I hate him. He's bad. Skill issue for real. Ban that chatter and maybe execute them in the public square. Still have to decide on that one. Misprint deserves his own tier. You know what? I agree with that chatter. Mod that chatter. Add a row below. We're going to make this... What's like the most revolting color that I could make this? I guess a gray, since there's not like a puke green. I'll make it light gray. Misprint. Dookie. Hate him. I'm sorry. Hate him. Okay, here we have Dusk. Dusk is weird. Dusk is weird. Retrigger jokers are like the bread and butter of this game. Not as much in Gold Stake. Retriggers are more niche in Gold Stake because you're seeing less cards on average, and also like you don't have as much money because of Red Stake giving you less money overall, but also like rentals sometimes you have less money. Perishable jokers existing can maybe prevent you from seeing as many econ pieces that matter that you would want to take. So like generally you have less money for retrigger builds to pop off in Gold Stake. I still think retrigger builds are very good in Gold Stake, but they're not exactly a dime a dozen. Dusk is really weird. I think Dusk is probably bottom of C for me. When Dusk works, it works. We had a Plasma Deck Dusk run earlier this week. I think it might have actually been yesterday. I don't remember because time is a weird construct for my feeble brain. But we had a Dusk run yesterday on Plasma Deck, playing 2 pair for the majority of the run, and Dusk actually kind of carried that run. When Dusk is another like mime situation. When it works, it works. The caveat with Dusk and why I wouldn't consider putting it in B tier is Dusk wants you to spend all of your money for it to work. You could argue that maybe that doesn't matter usually in Gold Stake or like if you have Dusk, because maybe you're retriggering like gold seals, or maybe you have a golden ticket and you're retriggering gold cards. So if you're using Dusk, you could maybe argue that you're making the money back anyway, but having to use all of your hands, having to get no money from extra hands is it's just awkward. It's never usually something that you want to do. Like I think Dusk is probably outclassed by like every other retrigger joker. It's still a retrigger joker, so it's still pretty good. It's still definitely usable, but it's awkward. I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it. I don't love it. Raised Fist is, I think, like the textbook example of an average joker. There's never a run where I take Raised Fist to the finish line, but if I am in, the early game and I'm in need for some flat molt, Raised Fist can always hook me up, man. Especially in pair builds. You play those lower ranks. You have a chip joker along with it to compensate for playing those lower ranks. You're pretty much always getting that +20 hit. And +20 molt is like simultaneously not that much and also quite a bit. I don't like if you're building around it, obviously, I have to question you. Even with Mime, I think it's not the greatest because Mime at most is making this a +40. Which is not terrible by any means, but like it's not fantastic when you're also sacking a joker slot for Mime to make that happen. But it's not bad. I'm never disappointed by it, right? It always just does a thing. It's a lot like a better version of Jimbo, I guess. It does its thing. I rotate it out. I'm happy that it did its thing, right? I think it's pretty good. Chaos. This is once again probably a controversial take, but I don't care. I think Chaos is above average, man. There's a lot of runs. Where you're going to be kind of struggling to find an X-Molt Joker. Your X-Molt Jokers, especially in your pair builds, are going to be your bread and butter for getting through the very late game, and there's going to be some runs where you're going to need to do some digging to find them. There's going to be some runs where that card sharp that allows you to win the entire game is going to be the diamond in the rough. You're going to need to invest a lot of rerolls, and you're going to need to see a lot of jokers before you see the one that really lets you tie the entire run together, put a nice little bow on it, and see that nice you win screen, right? And Chaos is like a lot of value. It doesn't give you tangible econ, which is I think why a lot of people underrate it, because it's not like, you know, Faceless Joker where you physically see the money entering your bank account. But it saves you, barring reroll vouchers, a bare minimum of $5 per round, which $5 for an econ Joker is not the best, but it's not nothing, right? $5 can be a lot. That's a whole interest cap. That can snowball, right? And especially in like mid to late game where, again, you're going to be trying to dig for these X-Molt Jokers to get yourself out of a bad position. I think Grimbo's really good. Grimbo. I think Chaos is like not bad whatsoever. I actually really like Chaos. There's almost never a run where I will see Chaos with a free slot and I will skip him, unless he's like Eternal Rental, obviously. Also, Chaos. Why do I keep almost calling him Grimbo? Chaos has the caveat in Gold Stake that a lot of the econ Jokers in Gold Stake are going to have, where you can pick up a rental Chaos for $1 and use him almost as a consumable card if you don't want to pay the rent. You can pick up a rental Chaos for $1, take the free reroll once he's in your Joker slots, sell him for $1, get that money back, and then you just had a free reroll. Which, like, usually that doesn't matter a ton, but it's still, like, impactful, right? It's still, like, a $5 Temperance is still a $5 Temperance, and that's essentially what Chaos can end up being. But overall, I think he's really good. I think he's slept on, for sure. Fibonacci. This is a Joker that I'm definitely wrong about, and that's okay. I think Fib's pretty bad. It's not bad. Let me rephrase that. I think Fib is... Generally, when people say Fib, like when people see Fib and they talk about Fib, they put it in the realm of a Joker that you want to build around. Like, people will start fixing their entire deck around Fib when they get it. And, like, depending on the deck, that's a pretty solid plan, and obviously you want to have more aces if you're playing Fib long term. But I just don't like it. I don't know, man. Like, at maximum before retriggers, you're getting 40 mult, which, like, that's not nothing by any means, but you're also playing a hand which is like bare minimum full house because you're scoring 5 cards that are all in like relatively the same window of ranks. So like already you're playing inconsistent hands to fuel that. I just think it's like, now that I'm thinking about it and like putting it into words, it's kind of like a less offensive Baron where like it's good if you do the deck fixing required for it, but like if you're wealthy enough to do that deck fixing, if you have enough value being generated to deck fix for Fib, there's just things that are way better than Fib. Now I will say Fib's an early game menace. That is like the one thing that I will definitely give Fib credit for, and probably the entire reason why I would be putting it in like C tier. Fib's an early game monster. Fib in the early game is just free score. It's just free score because like you can realistically expect to get 3 Fib triggers off of just a random 5-card hand that you're slinging in the early game, and 3 Fib triggers gets you all the way through ante 2 with like almost no questions asked, unless you're playing like the worst Fib hand that you can possibly play. So I do think it's like there's something to be said for it for that, but like if you're building around Fib, I just don't understand the mindset. There's just much better things to build around. I feel like Fib isn't people treat Fib like it's a win condition. Fib is not a win condition like whatsoever. I don't know, maybe I'm sleeping on it. Again, this is probably one where I'm wrong. I'm keeping it in C tier. I don't love Fib. Next is Steel Joker. I think Steel Joker is also a very fair C. The X-Molt that it provides, I mean, let's just be honest, chat. Any consistent X-Molt Joker is good. And Steel Joker, as long as you have at least 1 Steel card, is a consistent X-Molt Joker. If you have 2 Steel cards, it is like ever so slightly worse than a Polychrome, which is not that good. But like any non-conditional, I guess it's still conditional. Excuse me. God, I'm like dying. I'm literally drinking water and I'm also like dying still. I don't know. Any like non-conditional X-Molt Joker, you need the Steel for it, but like it doesn't matter what hand you're playing. I'm getting at, it's always going to be flat X-Molt once you have the Steels. But it's just really low flat X mult. So like I don't think it's bad necessarily, because there are some games where you'll have like 3 steel cards and then the times 1.6 will actually be pretty decent. Like a lot of people kind of sleep on Polychrome for being really good. Vagabond with the raid. Welcome in, everybody. But it's still like pretty niche at the end of the day. How many times are you taking Steel Joker where it's just like better than Duo? Almost never, right? Almost never. So it's not bad. It's not a bad pickup. If you're struggling for X-Molt and you find Steel Joker, you're probably taking it, but like, I don't know. Scary Face, I think, is not good. I think Scary Face is a very fair D tier. I think even with retriggers, a lot of the time, the chips on trigger, unless you're playing specifically Plasma deck, in which case Scary Face is like actually pretty good. But on any other deck, I think the chips on trigger thing that any of these chips on trigger jokers do, it's just not mattering after the early game. It's just not mattering after the early game. Like your planet levels are going to be giving you so much more unless you're literally running like Sock and Buskin full houses. I don't know. Abstract. This is yet another Joker that's probably going to piss people off with where I put it. I think Abstract is above average. I think Abstract and Banana are like the heaven sent plus mult Jokers. Probably not a lot of builds where you're keeping Abstract after like anti 4 or 5. But like same thing with the original Banana, the OG Gross Michelle. But like it's just free mult. You're always going to have Joker slots filled. It's just actually free. It's unconditional plus 15, and it doesn't die like Banana. You can rotate out of it when you don't need it, but it's insane for when you do need it. I don't know. I really like it. Abstract over Raised Fist is crazy to me. Raised Fist is still like kind of conditional, though, at the end of the day, right? I don't know. Maybe you're right about that. Maybe I'm sleeping on Raised Fist a little bit. Honestly, yeah, Raised Fist in the same tier as Halvesies. That makes sense to me. I'll bump up Raised Fist a little bit. That seems fair. That seems fair. Raised Fist, Halvesies, and Abstract in the same tier. That seems very fair. That chatters onto something. Delayed Gratification. Not good. Not good. For the same reason that Banner is pretty bad. I think Delayed Grat is definitely better than Banner because money is usually more valuable than chips. But Delayed Grat, unlike Banner, actually, I'm just going to put it under here. Delayed Grat, unlike Banner, comes with the caveat that instead of losing an incremental amount of value for each discard, if you just discard one time with Delayed Grat, you lose all of the value. I think early game, especially with pair builds, there are a lot of runs where you can use Delayed Grat for like an ante, maybe an ante and a half to get up to interest cap. But like, it's a below average econ piece, which a below average econs piece is still like a decent Joker. But it's really, you're not using this outside of like early game. And if you're not playing an easy to find hand like pairs, like high card, you're not using this at all. I could maybe even see putting it in F tier, but I don't know. Money is really important on Gold Stake. I'm not going to lie. Hack. Even though I think Hack in a vacuum is better than Dusk, I really want to put it below Dusk. Just because it like the only thing that you care about retriggering with Hack is Fib cards, Ew, or Wii cards, which is kind of based. But like, even though in a vacuum it gives you more total retriggers, it feels more niche. I think I'm still putting it in C tier because it's a retrigger Joker at the end of the day. It just feels more niche than Dusk, even though I'm almost certain that's not the case, and that's just like me vibing myself into like a weird state of mind. I don't know. Again, retriggers are already like pretty situational. You're going to be wanting to play 5-card hands with retriggers, which I think is usually pretty inconsistent on Gold Stake, but sometimes you're going to be getting a lot of value out of the retriggers to where maybe you do want to be playing 5-card hands. Obviously, if you're playing 5/2s on a Weeb Joker build and you get Hack, it's going to be insane Wii. It's going to be very fun. But I don't know. Hack just feels like I can't remember the last time I took Hack, even though I think it's pretty good. Pareidolia. I think a lot, and I mean a lot of people would put Pareidolia in F tier. Do I think it's too niche to be used? I almost never take... Pareidolia is in a weird spot, man. Because I almost never take Pareidolia. Actually, almost never. But the times where you're taking Pareidolia, it is so impactful. Specifically, Pareidolia Mask, but also like Pareidolia Faceless is pretty good. I think we had one run maybe at the beginning of the month where we played Abandoned Deck Photo Chat and we ended up slotting in Pareidolia, which is pretty fun. I'm gonna put it in D. I'm gonna put it in D. You're almost never taking it, but the times that you are taking it, your belly is full, so to speak. You're either getting $5 per discard just flat out, or you're making your like 2/3 of your entire deck into gold cards, which is just insane value, or you're photo chatting on Abandoned Deck, which gets fun value. Banana. I want to put it at A. I think putting Banana at A is psychopath behavior. But Cavendish is so funny, and Banana's like also really good in the early game. I think that's psychopath behavior, but like, dude, Cavendish is broken. I think Banana at A tier is like not even that bad of a take. Banana easy S, Banana is S. High B. Realistically, I think it's high B. Or maybe even mid B, but I'm going to put it at S just because of the prospect of Cavendish. I think Cavendish even being a thing in the game, you're not ever going to see Cavendish, which is why I don't like putting it in A. The amount of times where I've had a Banana break, even in early antes, and we just don't see Cavendish for the entire game. There's so many documented runs that I've had like that. But when you find Cavendish, free build. Free run, no matter what you're doing. 3 times unconditional molt, actually unconditional molt, is insane. And I think Banana giving you the prospect at that, even if it is a gamble, is pretty good. I don't mind Banana being our first A tier whatsoever. You know what? If Banana goes in A, I could move Duo to A. That seems fair. W chat. Odd Todd. Again, if this was a specifically Plasma Deck gold stake tier list, Todd would be bare minimum high A. I think Todd does some heavy lifting in Plasma Deck gold stake, but on a normal gold stake build, again, most of the chips that you're going to be generating are from planet cards. You're probably not going to care about chips on trigger unless you're like running Wii, which that's not really even chips on trigger. That's just like play 2s and get rewarded. I don't know. I think Todd is very D tier. I don't love him. Can he work in the early game? Yeah. I don't even usually take him in the early game, though. Like, same thing with Scary Face. If you're going to get a chip joker, like, something like Sly just feels so much more consistent as opposed to these, like, these on-trigger chip jokers that in an ideal world require you to deck fix around them but don't actually do anything, right? I don't know. I don't like Odd Todd. I think Even Steven is in the exact same spot. +4 molt is not too bad per even card. If you're playing flushes with Even Steven, realistically, you can probably expect to get a +12 on a flush and be completely fine for the first like 1 or 2 antes of the game. Maybe for like ante 2 boss blinds, you need like a flush and a 2 pair with Steven. But like Steven's fine for early game, but it does literally, even with retriggers, it does literally nothing outside of early game. So like, I don't know, it's D tier for sure. Same exact thing with Scholar. Scholar gives you both chips and plus molt on trigger, but it requires you to play what might be able to be considered the worst rank in the game. Probably, I think 7s are the worst rank in the game if we're like min-maxing, but like aces are right behind it. Aces suck unless you're playing, I guess, Fib, in which case just play 2s in case you get a Wii Joker or a hack. But like it wants you to be playing a really bad rank. You're only going to have 4 of these in your deck unless you're playing erratic for the early game. So realistically, you're getting like 2 triggers on this max for the early game. I think Scholar is really bad. Giving you chips and molt in the same trigger is like the only thing that's keeping Scholar out of F tier. If Scholar was either 20 chip, even if it was like 30 or 35 chips on trigger for an ace, or if it was like 5 molt for an ace, probably it would be an F tier. But the fact that it gives you both, I think it gets saved as like a decent early game piece. Business card. I think business card at C is fine. I would even consider putting it at B if Chaos is in B. Business card can be a lot of money. It's expected. The expected value is $1 per face card that gets scored. Realistically, on an unfixed deck that is not like erratic or abandoned, you can expect to probably score like 7 or 8 face cards. So that's $7 or $8 of expected value. That's not bad whatsoever. It does want you to be playing face cards, but that's not like a bad caveat whatsoever, considering some of the best builds in the entire game revolve around face cards. I think this is either high C or low B. Probably I would slap this in low B. I think business card is very consistent econ. Supernova, A tier. It is a Joker that gives you scaling molt every time you play a pair. Every time you play a pair, you get +1 molt. You play a ton of pairs because they're not worth a ton of score each, but they always beat the blind when you play like 3 or 4 of them. It's just this essentially reads in pair builds as play a hand, gain +1 molt. Very good, very strong, insane for pair builds. Not doing much in any other build, but again, because of the viability of pairs in Gold Stake, this shoots to A tier. Very good. High B, for me, it isn't A. I'm going to keep it a stack. I think all of the common plus molt scalers, aside from Shoot the Moon, if you would consider it a scaling molt Joker, which I would, are A tier. Which brings us to Ride the Bus. Ride the Bus is A tier. Ride the Bus wants you to not play face cards for the same reward that Supernova gives you. Slightly harder to not play face cards than to just play pairs. But there are 3 dead slots when you play a pair, so you can just play a pair of 7s, and then if you have like King, Queen, Jack in your hand as well, you can just cycle those in the dead slots, because Bus gains the molt if you don't score faces. So you can still play faces as long as they don't score. So literally all you have to do is just cycle all of your faces out of your hand when you play your pairs, and then Ride the Bus's free scaling plus molt. Very good Joker, very broken with pairs. When you see Ride the Bus, you probably pivot pairs 9 out of 10 times. Very good Joker. Very good Joker. Spaceman, once again, very controversial opinion that I have. I think Spaceman is B tier, and I think it is, if we were ranking these within tiers, I think it is probably at the higher end of B tier. The only thing that is keeping me from putting it in A or S is the fact that it is a 1 in 4, and that motherfucker can go for like 10 hands straight without leveling shit up, and that makes me crash out. But on average, if you're playing pairs, again, this is the same theory as like Supernova Bus. If you're playing a lot of pairs, you're going to be getting a decent amount of planet levels out of it. Planet levels are really good in Gold Stake. You're going to be wanting high level hands to be winning your Gold Stake runs. So I think Spaceman, when you're playing pairs or something that's like easily spammable, you're probably profiting like +1 level every blind, which doesn't sound like a lot, but like it's a lot, I would say. I think he's really good. Egg. Would I say Egg is above average? Negative Egg is certainly... I mean, Negative Egg, you could probably make the case for being like A tier. That's not what we're talking about. Standalone Egg... I want to put it in B, because if you hit Temperance, it's an insane amount of value. The problem with that is kind of along the lines, the same problem that I have with not putting Misprint higher. The same line of thinking, not putting Spaceman higher. We've had runs where we've had an egg from ante 1 until ante 8 when we win, and we don't see Temperance. When you see even one Temperance with like a $20 egg is insane. But there are runs where you just don't see it. They're few and far between, but there are runs where you don't see it. I think Egg at C is very reasonable. I think you could definitely make an argument to put it in B. I probably wouldn't argue with you if you said it was B, but I think C is maybe a better placement for it on average. Burger. I used to not like Burger because for the kind of along the lines, the same reason I don't like Banner and like Delayed Grat is like not being able to use discards kind of blows. But like Burger's really good. I think Burger is A tier. I think Burger is game warping, because Burger can turn games that would like, especially so for pair builds, Burger can turn pair builds that would have otherwise lost into like free runs. I think Burger's really good. If you save the extra hands that he gives you left over, you're getting more money. Also in Gold Stake specifically, or I guess in Blue Stake and above specifically, there's the argument where even if you're playing like not pairs, even if you're playing like straights and stuff like that, barring like purple seals and like mail-in and stuff that gives you value on discard, Burger allows you to see more cards, right? Because on average, if we're talking about like yellow deck, for instance, which is kind of like the gold stake staple deck for like win streaking, yellow deck has 4 hands, 2 discards, so you can see 5 cards with each of those, so you can see a grand total of 30 cards. With Burger, you have 7 hands, 0 discards, so you can see a grand total of 35 cards. So on blue stake and above, again, barring... It's like a trade-off, right? You're trading being able to see more cards for no discard synergy, which I think a lot of the time, maybe it's not like super impactful, but I think a lot of the time it is very impactful. Also works as an econ joker. Like I said, you can save the hands over, you get more money at the end of the blind. But mainly I'm just putting it in A because of pair builds. I think on pair builds specifically, again, Burger can turn pair builds that would otherwise die a horrible death into just like turn your brain off, play pair, scale jokers, absolutely free brain dead runs. I think it's really good. Just don't meet the eye. That's also true, yeah. Yeah, the eye is pretty bad for Burger, but like other than that, I think it's really good. Blackboard is S. I love it. I'm honestly like debating putting Blackboard in A or S. Blackboard is not going below A. I will say that. Blackboard might be my first S. It's like, in theory, it's conditional X mult because if you have like hearts cards and shit like that in your hand, you can't turn it on. But like, again, because of the pair meta, I want to keep it from S tier just because if you're not playing pairs, it's a lot harder to work with. So I don't know if it's S tier just because of that. Like if you're playing a straights build or some shit like that, you're not getting Blackboard to work, which is why I kind of want to keep it out of S. But any pair build, again, if this was like a pair build tier list, Chalkboard is an easy S. Because you just cycle the random like red cards. If you have 5 red cards in your hand, you play a pair of red cards and cycle the other 3 red cards, and then you get the ×3. So like in pair builds, Chalkboard is 95% of the time just reads like a Cavendish that can't break. But in builds outside of pair, this really doesn't do much, I feel like, unless you deck fix, in which case like you need to deck fix for it. I feel like that also keeps it out of S, right? I'm skeptical, but I'll make it our first S. It's very easy for Chalkboard to be turned into an S tier Joker. I don't know. I'm gonna put it bottom of A. Or top of A. I'm gonna put it top of A. I'm sorry, chat. I'm gonna put it top of A. Probably you could argue it's an S tier. I'm putting it top of A. That was my gut instinct. I'm putting it top of A. Let Unseen decide. Okay, I'll let the Unseen Explosion decide. If this is a YouTube video, shout out Unseen Explosion. I'll show it on stream. Right Unseen. Camera. Unseen, I need your help.
What up, Mr. Shock?
Chat.
And also potentially Mr. Shock's chat, Joker because I assume you are still alive.
Tier list.
I need your help. Yes.
Is Chalkboard
what is it?
A or S tier? In your opinion.
I knew they would come to me for my expertise.
Shut up, Unseen. I watched you lose a triple Grimbo polychrome run last night. Sorry.
What? Doing Joker tier list. Oh, you did say you were going to do that today. Yeah, that's why you started streaming.
You are the deciding
Chalkboard A
factor.
Or S tier? I assume you mean Blackboard. If those are the 2 options, and this is for gold stake, right?
Yeah, gold stake. Chat, what are we thinking?
Gold stake, Blackboard, I assume, A or S?
I know my chat is like overlaying.
Why is Blackboard S tier? You are the deciding factor. For gold stake, specifically, or just in general?
I said gold stake, bruh. I probably have a little bit of stream delay since I'm also streaming.
Yeah, gold stake. So, it's ×3. Let's go look. Let's go look and analyze.
Chat, this is a brilliant idea. Chat, this is a brilliant idea.
I don't have my screen showing. XD. So, Blackboard being ×3 is good because that's pretty much the highest that a times mult starts without it being of a higher rarity or a scaling one like Constellation.
Yeah.
So it's already a really good times mult, and it works well with not a lot of deck fixing, in my opinion, and especially if you do play hands like two pair or pair or high card, where you can throw away the non spades and clubs. It is annoying that it doesn't work with stone. But I think I would. I don't know. Now that you've said it, I was gonna rank it like relatively low, or not low, but I wouldn't have originally put it A or S. But now I'm leaning towards S. I mean, it is really good.
Leaning towards S.
Times 3 molt, not that hard to deck fix for, and if you're playing like a hand that allows you to throw away non-scoring cards, it's pretty good. In my initial thought was B tier, but the more I think about it, like, it is really good, like, just as a base card.
We putting it in S then,
especially for Gold Stake specifically.
Well, we're putting it in S then. But
I am also a washed-up Gold Stake player, so what the hell do I know?
That is also true. I don't mind that. I don't hate that. Bro is washed, though. I just want to point that out. Also would like to point it out that the same person that everybody in chat is praising for putting it in S tier was going to put it in B tier if I didn't give the option. If I just asked him, what do you rate this, and not, do you put this in A or S, they would have put it in B. Just want to throw that out there. This is the martyr, so to speak, that this is who you're trusting. This is who you're trusting with the S rank. Runner. Moving on. Pretty good chip scaler. Pretty much any. I know I've been saying this whole time that most of your chips are going to be coming from your planet cards, but that is because there are vastly less chip jokers in the game than molt jokers, and even less scaling chip jokers than like scaling molt jokers and scaling X molt jokers. So even though some of the like on trigger chips jokers and stuff like that I think are not impactful, scaling chip jokers can still be like a quasi ×2 at the end of the day, right? And I think Runner is kind of mid in terms of strictly like scaling chips jokers. That being said, I think him being a scaling chip joker is still like pretty good. Like, you can play Runner in pairs. You just like alternate playing straights and playing pairs, and you can get him to, like, dare I say, like 105 chips without even really breaking a sweat. I think Runner is definitely like a B tier joker. He's not incredible. He's not going to be like soloing games, but he's not bad by any means. I'm not going to lie. Ice Cream. Dare I say Ice Cream is also B tier. I think this is slightly controversial. I find myself taking Ice Cream in Gold Stake a lot, so I might just be overvaluing it from like an anecdotal standpoint, if that makes sense. But I take Ice Cream a lot when I'm playing pairs, so I think Ice Cream is not bad on B tier, or in B tier. Plus 100 chips. Obviously, it's gonna like, you know, deflate in value, so to speak, but once that happens, you'll probably have some planet levels in whatever hand you're playing to where it kind of cushions the blow. And like initially, when you haven't played any hands with it at all, plus 100, plus 90, plus 80 chips, just unconditional, pretty damn good. Pretty damn good for like early to mid game. I'm not gonna lie. Solid joker. DNA. DNA's D, man. I'm sorry to all the DNA enjoyers. Whenever I do a thing, if you're not familiar, on YouTube, where every day for the past like 3 weeks, I go to random.org, I pick 4 numbers between 1 and 150, and I make a YouTube poll, and I say, if you had to pick one joker to get at the beginning of all of your games from now on, which of these 4 would you pick? And I find it really interesting to gauge how the people who watch me and the Balatro community as a whole values certain jokers against each other. DNA, I have found through running those polls, is the most overrated joker in this game, and it's not even close. It is not even close. Every single time I run a poll and DNA is in the poll, it wins by the widest margin imaginable. And I think in Gold Stake especially, DNA is absolutely terrible. I think DNA is so bad. It's also just not good in Gold Stake because, like, even if you're copying like a gold blue seal card with it, which is like best case scenario, you're still playing down a hand, and like you're just adding the card to your deck, which is like, it's fine, but like obviously gold blue seal is like really good to copy, but like I don't know, it still doesn't feel super impactful in like 99% of runs. Dare I say it's even F for Gold Stake. I think in the context of Gold Stake, man, that's an argument actually. I think in the context of Gold Stake, I might have to put DNA in F. I'm not even trolling. I mean, like, I can't even remember the last time I used DNA and it was good. It's only going to be good in, like, big hand runs. I don't know. DNA, okay, you know, looking at the other Jokers, DNA on the same level as Paradolia. Yeah, that seems fine. That seems fine. I'll keep it in D. Moving on, Splash. Splash is cheeks, man. Holy buns. Splash is terrible. What synergy does Splash even have in this video game? The two things that I can think of off the top of my head are slamming random face cards into the pair that you're playing when you have a Midas mask in your build, or Vampire. As far as Joker synergies, obviously Splash synergizes with like every enhancement known to man. But like, dude, Splash with Joker synergies, pretty much all of the synergies that I can think of off the top of my head are just not worth 2 Joker slots, and debatably not even worth 1. Flower Pot synergy is fun, but 2 Joker slots for a ×3 is like not that good, I feel. I don't know, it's okay. Idol, usually Idol is just complete ass in Gold Stake. There's synergies where it works, but I feel like it's not worth the Joker slot in any of those synergies. You can argue that Splash is D. I'm keeping it in F. I think Splash is uniquely horrible. Blue Joker, this is another B tier, I think. Blue Joker, technically a scaling Joker. I would say probably if you're using it as a scaling Joker, you're playing a hologram run, or you're just paramaxing and putting random value cards into your deck, which is fine. But like, for the same reason as Ice Cream is in B tier, like plus 100 chips, which is usually around what you're going to be getting on Blue Joker. I guess after the top deck, it's going to be like plus 90 chips, but like plus 90 chips is still, until relatively mid-game, it's still like a ×2 on most builds, which is like not bad whatsoever. I think it's very passable. Notably, when I did my black deck only Gold Stake series, which was like, it's kind of ancient channel history now, and by that I mean it was like 2 months ago. Blue Joker, I think, was our #1 Joker on the black deck only profile, so maybe there's something to consider there. Probably not. Probably that's just anecdotal, but like still, I like Blue Joker. He's solid. I think above average is fine for him. Sixth Sense. Man. Like, okay. He gives you deck fixing. He gives you spectral cards. The deck fixing is, on most decks, 4 cards in exchange for 4 hands. And a lot of the time, spectral cards... I mean, like, a lot of spectral cards are really good, don't get me wrong. But a lot of spectral cards are also incantation-esque and are not good whatsoever. I think Ouija... I was thinking of bad spectral cards, and Ouija just escaped my lips. I think Sixth Sense is in a weird spot where average might be too generous, but like niche would not give it enough credit. I think I would put it in C tier above D tier. I don't find myself taking it a lot either in Gold Stake. It's very mime-esque, where I just don't find that it's worth the slot a lot, but like to a higher extent, because mime at least generates like a lot of guaranteed value, to whereas Sixth Sense can give me incantation, Ouija, and sigil, and then I freak out. I don't know. I don't love it. Constellation. Dare I say another S? You're gonna be cracking planet cards in Constellation's S. I'm not even deliberating. You're gonna be using planet cards in literally any Gold Stake match ever. And because Constellation only cares about planet cards, it doesn't care about what planet card, Constellation is always gonna be like absolute minimum. If you're like dead broke, struggling to get by, Constellation's gonna be like a ×2. Otherwise, it's gonna be like insane X-Molt. I think Constellation, it fits into any build. You can crack planet cards in any build. I think it's really good. Hiker. I don't like Hiker. I like Hiker, but Hiker's bad. That's a better phrasing. I like Hiker. Hiker's funny. I try to take him when I can afford to take him, just because, like, you know, he's a jovial guy. He's goofy, but I think he's really bad. Unless you have retriggers, and even if you have retriggers, if you're using enough retriggers where Hiker would be worth it, I'm assuming that that is immediately made irrelevant by the fact that you are playing a hand whose planet card would eclipse Hiker. I think Hiker's pretty bad. I think Hiker's really bad. I don't think he's quite F. Sometimes the chips matter, but I think D is respectable. Hiker's pretty bad. Faceless Joker. Above average. Not quite mail-in territory. Not quite insane. Not quite buku bucks, if you will. But Faceless is still pretty goated. I feel like you could reasonably assume to make $10 off of that every blind. Maybe with the odd blind, if you're on like a boss, or maybe you just get really bad RNG, you make $5 a blind. But Chaos is bare minimum $5 a blind, and he's in B. Might be moving Chaos up now that I think about it, but I think Faceless is still like fine at B tier. He's a damn fine econ Joker. He gets the job done, and sometimes he puts in a little extra. Sometimes he works some overtime. Grimbo. Again, same as Supernova Bus. You just play a hand, you get +1 molt. With the caveat that it's probably the worst out of this trio, because it can go backwards if you discard. But usually if you're picking up Grimbo, you're not planning on discarding anyway, and then the times where you would discard. If you're playing a hand and gaining a molt, you can kind of think of +1 molt on these scaling jokers as $1. So like the times where the times where I find myself discarding the most for Grimbo is either A, with like Faceless or mail-in rebate, like jokers that give you money when you discard. And either of those jokers, bare minimum, gives you quintuple quintuple what you put into it, in terms of like you're losing 1 molt but gaining +5. Or purple seals. And if we're assuming that every tarot card is worth what it is worth in the shop, you're still exchanging a $3 tarot card for 1 molt on Grimbo. So like even like people all the time come into my stream and will be like, why are you running mail-in with Grimbo? That's like anti-synergy. And like, yeah, it is at the end of the day. I am making my Grimbo worse, but like it's not that bad. Like +1 molt in exchange, or -1 molt in exchange for +5 at the end of the day. Not that tragic. Not that tragic. Superposition, D tier for sure. Are you getting tarot cards from it in the vast majority of runs? No. No. Almost never. But it's very much in the same vein as like 8-Ball, where like you get runs where if you're playing straights anyway, the tarot cards can stack up. Like tarot cards are so impactful, and if you're able to get value out of superposition, even if you're just getting 1 or 2 tarot cards, like you're getting a good return on investment. It's not good, it's not fun to see most of the time, but like it could still matter. It can still give you good shit, right? Also notably kind of fire in multiplayer, but I digress. Cavendish, C tier, no, I'm just kidding. My chat, I'm pre-firing everybody in my chat, just like smashing their keyboards now. Cavendish is S. It just like absolutely. If Chalkboard is S, Cavendish is S. It's a non-conditional ×3 molt. This fits into any build and will give any build ×3 molt. In my almost 700 hours of playing this game, I have never once with my own eyes witnessed a Cavendish break. I'm not even sure if it's possible. That's a lie. It can definitely break. Don't take my word for, truth. But I've never seen it expire, and I've played this game for almost 700 hours. So it's like, obviously if it dies, you're gonna shit yourself, but realistically it's never dying ever, unless you have like multiple oopses, in which case maybe it'll die on you. but I digress. A majority of the time, we'll say 999 times out of every 1,000, it is ×3 molt for no work, which is cracked, to say the least. Very good. To-do list. I think to-do list is slept on. I think to-do list is very slept on. Very good. Econ Joker. Are you sad whenever it hits like straight flush or like 4 of a kind or something like that? Yeah, but like the times that it hits pair or high card or 2 pair, even flush, more than make up for that. It's very good econ. Very good econ. Above average econ, dare I say. Not much more to say about it than that. It is just very solid for generating money. Card Sharp. Not S tier, because I don't think every build can consistently play Card Sharp, and I think some builds can't play it at all. But Card Sharp's A. Card Sharp ×3 for just playing the same hand. If you play a pair, your next 3 pairs on any deck besides black deck are going to be ×3 molt, which is a lot of points. I think Card Sharp is very, very good with like just spammable hands. Obviously, it doesn't fit into every build, like I said, but the builds that it does fit into, it's essentially a Cavendish with like the smallest drawback of all time. Not good. Or not bad. Not bad. God. Red card, I think, is also A tier. Red card's very fire. Pretty much the only time that you're not going to get a red card to like +40 or +50 by the end of the game is if you take it as like a first pick and then just are really bad at managing your econ. A lot of people don't like it because you're going to be skipping packs. But what a lot of people don't realize, I think, is there's a very fair amount of packs in the game that you're just going to be skipping anyway, right? So a lot of people see it as like kind of a crappy investment of like, oh, I have to open a pack just to skip it, to scale red card. I would say a solid third of any of the packs that you open in a given run, on any run, you could be fine skipping. A solid third of the packs you would be completely fine skipping, even if you didn't have a red card. And if you have a red card, that's just a free +3 molt. It's I really like it. It's very consistent. You need econ for it, but you need econ for gold stake, so that's a very low bar to fulfill. Overall, just very, very consistent. Madness. Now, Madness. If you asked me when I first started running gold stake, where I would rank Madness, I would make a tier above everything in the game for Madness, because obviously Madness is just free X-Molt scaling, and it's really good X-Molt scaling as long as you have the majority of your build being eternal or all of your build being eternal, which in gold stake is not that like tall of an order, so to speak. That being said, I think speculative Madness always kills runs. The more that I have played gold stake and the more times that I have taken speculative Madness, like, I would say over 50% of speculative Madness runs die, which is why I don't like it. I think I would still put Madness at above average, but I don't think I put it any higher than B. Because there are a lot of runs where, like, if you don't already have an eternal lineup or, like, a majorly eternal lineup and then you take Madness, you're cooked. If your shops just, like, shit on you. I don't like Madness for gold stake as much as I used to. I think it's still very good, but it's not as good as some of the other more consistent options. You just got to count score, buddy. I don't know, man. Squimbo. Is Squimbo B tier or A tier? Would I say Squimbo is game warping? Not any more than like Runner or Blue Joker. I think Squimbo is very, very consistent on the types of builds that are meta in gold stake. But would I say Squimbo is A? Would I put it on top at the same? You know what? I would put it in the same caliber as like Supernova. Yeah, I could put Squimbo in A. If I see a Squimbo in the shop and I already have a scaling Molt Joker, I'm taking it and I'm always pivoting pairs. So honestly, I could see this being an A tier. Very consistent to scale. Doesn't work with halvesies, but that is like literally the only drawback. Usually, whether you cycle 4 cards for a hand or 5 cards for a hand, unless you're like, maybe if you're playing Squimbo Bus, you're like this much sad because you can't cycle as many face cards out of your hand. But other than that, Squimbo is like perfectly fine. It's really good. Really good. Seance. Seance is a Joker that I really want to put in D. I desperately want to put Seance in D tier because I like spectral cards are good, and Seance with a suit changer, you can just exchange it for a spectral card. But then I have to ask myself, when was the last time I picked up Seance in Gold Stake? And it was probably one time for the gold sticker and then never after that. Straight flushes are just like a once in a blue moon occurrence, and getting a straight flush with Seance in your Joker lineup is like even rarer of an occurrence. I would honestly be fine with Seance going into F. I think the reward that it gets you is pretty damn good, but it is like you're never using Seance in the average build. I don't know. Riffraff. I don't think Riffraff is auto win unless you're on black deck. If this was a black deck gold stake tier list, I would be putting Riffraff in S. As it stands, just across all decks, I think Riffraff is A. Riffraff is very strong, but I think you can still lose with Riffraff in your lineup, right? It's mega polarizing, anti 1 to 3. It's high A. Yeah, I think it's like incredible. But I don't think it's like you take Riffraff and just all of your problems are solved. Vamp. I think Vamp is A. Not the auto win that like Constellation and Chalkboard is. But still a fairly consistent Joker to get scaling out of. You can pretty easily just like toss like molt and bonus cards to this to get it up to ×2. I don't think it's ever like, even playing pairs where you're only scaling it like twice per hand, it's still pretty easy to scale, all things considered. I think Vamp is like a completely fine X-Molt Joker. Is it maybe better than Card Sharp? No, but I don't think it's B tier either. I think Vamp is very, very consistent. It's very like inoffensive, I guess. Anyway, Shortcut. Okay, this is where I'm gonna lose some people, but I don't care. Shortcut is A, bare minimum. Shortcut is A, bare minimum. Shortcut just allows you to play painted deck on any other deck, man. Shortcut makes straights. Again, just strictly based off of vibes. I don't know the statistics of it, but I've used Shortcut many a time in Gold Stake. Shortcut makes straights about as likely to draw as 2-pair. Imagine your Mercury was 30 plus 3. Yeah, exactly what Bacon said. I think it's B tier, actually. Shortcut is definitely A, dude. Shortcut is definitely A, purely based off of what Bacon just said in chat. I don't think it makes straights as consistent as pairs, but I think it makes them as consistent as 2 pairs. Like, you still have to discard in order to get a straight in your hand, but you're going to be reliably drawing straights for like every hand that you play. And when your planet card for the hand that you're playing is plus 30, plus 3, that's double the chips of pairs and triple the molt. So impactful. I would happily trade a Joker slot for the ability to make my Mercury cards into Saturn cards. He's so good. Shortcut is A. I'm not listening to chat. Shortcut is B or C. It's X-Molt for straights. It's just scaling. It's like scaling Molten Disguise, right? It's scaling plus Molten Disguise because it makes your straights super consistent, and then you can just trade Shortcut. Because like straights don't need scaling plus Molt, like in the mid to late game. They don't need it in the mid to late game. So you're just trading Shortcut for like a Grimbo, and then your actual Molt is coming from Saturn cards. I'm not moving on it being A at all. Shortcut is debatably the most slept on Joker in this entire game, purely because Saturn cards are so good. I would happily, in pair builds, trade a Joker slot for Mercury cards being plus 30 chips. So good. So good. Okay, Hologram, immediately moving on. Hologram is S tier. Hologram, if you find Hologram, especially so if you're on a pair build, but even just on like pretty much any build, Hologram scales like so quickly. There's Jokers that turn it on for free, but like even if you're just ripping standard packs and just taking like nonsense, Hologram is nasty. It scales so fast. Dare I say the fastest scaling Joker in the game. That's probably dependent on seed. That's probably dependent on Joker lineup for the vast majority of seeds, but hologram is so good. Speaking of S tier Jokers, Vagabond's nasty. I know it's going to piss off a lot of people as well, because a lot of people don't like playing it at like $0, which is the ideal for Vagabond. But dude, tarot, I've been saying this whole time, tarot cards are so good, and Vagabond gives you a tarot card per hand. Vagabond is disgusting amounts of value. Like one of the best econ jokers in the game. It's so good. You're never broke with Vagabond. He's a lie. You're usually rich with him. That's what I'm saying. Like people not liking Vagabond just don't realize that the tarot cards that you get with it, just make it so that you're not broke. You're only broke when you go into the blind. Like we literally played our plasma deck run last night. We had a Vagabond. We would go into the blind with $0 and come out with like 28 for the shop, plus a Hermit card. Like you're not broke on Vagabond. You're broke for the very beginning, but it's like completely fine. Vagabond green deck is just evil. Okay, I see that take a lot, and Vagabond Campfire. I don't like either of those synergies, to be fair. They're still incredible because of how broken Vagabond is, but Vagabond green deck is like the same as any other deck because you're sacrificing all of your econ on green deck minus Jokers and minus what Vagabond gives you is coming from hands, right? So like I don't know. I feel like Vagabond to green deck being synergistic is like kind of counterintuitive. Same thing with a Vagabond Campfire. A lot of people say Vagabond Campfire is good because if you sell shit, the Campfire goes up and then Vagabond is producing shit. But like how many times are you able to sell things with Vagabond before you just can't get tarot cards out of it? Oh god, he's gonna put Baron in F. Yeah, that spoiler alert, chat. Yeah, that chatter is correct, Mundo. Baron's going in F. Baron is a lot akin to Idol, which spoiler alert is also gonna be put in F. I'm just gonna rank Idol right now. These are both F tier cards. These are both debatably the most polarizing endless game builds in the entire game, but they are like, for Gold Stake specifically, they are the biggest noob bait of all time because of the deck fixing that they require. You are never going to be able to... You're never going to be able to have a Baron build or a Idol build pan out unless you are going endless in Gold Stake and have like a broken seed already. Like unless you literally already have like a blueprint or some shit like that, you are never getting Baron or Idol to work in Gold Stake ever. Just because the amount of deck fixing that they take to turn on is just like so immense to where they're not worth it. Baron in misprint tier. Honestly, I'll put Baron in misprint tier. I'll put Idol there as well. Idol I'm less familiar with, so I'm gonna... No, Idol's still just as bad. These Baron and Idol are like horrible noob bait in Gold Stake. They're so bad. I'll put them down there. I'm not even gonna lie. I don't mind that. Cloud9. Cloud9 is at base value, at absolute base value, barring erratic decks that screw you over, is a Golden Joker that costs $1 more, which I think is completely fine because Golden Joker is already like above average. I would probably put Cloud9 at above average. You could make the argument with it being A, but I've never had a run where I've fixed 9s for Cloud9. I don't think that would just... I don't think that would end up being worth it unless like everything fell into place. But like, Cloud9's literally fine. It's a really good Joker. Rocket. Chat, am I crazy for putting Rocket in A? Rocket's really weird because if you get it late game, it's absolute shite. But like, Rocket early is just so much econ. Rocket is really good. I'm gonna put Rocket in A. Probably I'm gonna get some backlash for that, but I think Rocket is really good. I think especially if you get it early, like if you get it anti-4, anti-5, you're probably not caring about it, but the same could be said about pretty much everything that's in A tier right now. So I'm fine with putting Rocket in A tier. If you get it early, the post-round cash out that you're going to be getting with Rocket is going to be immense. You're going to be getting so much money with Rocket. Even if you get it like anti-3, if you carry it to the end of the game, you're going to be getting so much money on Rocket. I really love Rocket. I think it's not slept on, just like nobody talks about it. I feel like everybody, whenever I've asked anyone if they like Rocket, they're like, yeah, Rocket is really good. But like nobody talks about it. It's a very, very inoffensive Joker yet again. Obelisk. This is again where I'm going to lose lots of people. I think the majority of the tier lists that I see on YouTube are like from pretty early in Balatro's history. I feel like now people have had more time to be exposed to the fact that Obelisk is good. But it's still a very polarizing Joker. I know I'm going to piss people off when I rate Obelisk where I do, but Obelisk is A. It only dodges S because it is difficult to use. Just going to say that, because Obelisk is like debatably the fastest scaling in the game. It only dodges S because it's unintuitive. But if you know how to use Obelisk correctly, Obelisk is so good. Obelisk is a skill check, 100%. 100%. Obelisk is a skill check. I don't even know if it's a skill check. No, it's definitely a skill check. If you don't like Obelisk, it's probably because you don't know how to use it. I'm just gonna keep it a stack. Midas. I almost want to put Midas in F. Or in F? God, in S. That was the biggest misspeak, perhaps, of all time. I'm not gonna put it in S, but I am gonna put it in A. I think Midas is really good, especially early game. Midas is like one of the best econ Jokers in the entire game. Midas, you literally just take it for a singular ante, make like 10 of your face cards gold, sell it. And then it frees its Joker slot almost instantaneously in the grand scheme of the run, and you just have like all the value in the world from it. Midas is not F. Yeah. That was the biggest misspeak of all time. Somebody in YouTube chat said 500 gold cards. That's literally it. But yeah, Midas is like very good, specifically because you can just it's like gift card where you just buy it, you get its value for like an ante or two, and then you just sell it. You get the Joker slot, you get to keep its value. Very good. Luchador. Gonna put him in D tier. I want to put him in F because I almost never take Luchador, but there is that one run every once in a while where you find a anti-7 wall that would normally just beat the shit out of you and take your lunch money. And that little Luchador pops up in the shop, and you can practically see him glow with the heavenly light that surrounds him because it's like the only answer to the boss blind. But like obviously you're not taking Luchador in any other context, right? He's not like game breaking or anything. 50x rerolls looking for Luchador. Yeah, exactly. I'm never mad at Luchador. I'm never mad at it either, but like 99% of the time it is a dead slot in the shop, right? But that one time that he isn't is like kind of disgusting. So it's on like the same line as Paradolia, where 90% of runs Paradolia is just absolute doo-doo ass, but the one run where it's not, it really like pays dividends. I think it's the same thing. Photo! This is where I'm gonna lose probably everybody in the stream. This is where I'm gonna see my viewer count on Twitch drop from 43 to about 7. Photo's D. Photo sucks. You guys need to open your eyes, okay, to the fact that Photo is this bad. Photo without Hanging Chad being in the game is borderline unusable. Photo is terrible. It is a singular conditional glass card at the cost of a Joker slot. Now, obviously, Photo Chad is like one of the most consistent combos in the game. No, you will get me complaining about Photo Chad precisely 0% of the time. Photo on its own, ass. Not good. Not good. Needs retriggers to do anything. And everybody in my chat just exclamation mark vanished. Like, if this was a tier list based on where I would rank every Joker with Chad already in my lineup, Photo would be A, bare minimum. Photo Chad is an A tier combo, bare minimum. Even if you're playing some dumb shit like High Card that gets no base mult from the planet, it's still like A tier bare minimum. But Photo in isolation, cheeks. Not good early game. Early game, the most that it's getting you is ×4. Not good late game unless you have Chad at all, because it acts just as a glass card. Not good. You guys need to open your eyes. Photo is the worst part of the Photo Chad combo, and it is not close. Garbage card. I'm tired of people acting like Photo is disgusting. Not good, man. Gift card. Again, I literally said it when we were talking about Midas. Same vein as Midas. You get its gift card is maybe B tier, but I think it's still like pretty damn good. It's not as tangible as Midas, because pretty much the only thing that you're getting from gift card outside of like the extra sell value from maybe pivoting out of certain jokers. Like the biggest pull from gift card is temperance value to me. But gift card does give you the advantage of you hold it for like 4 or 5 rounds, you boost your temperance value by like 20 bucks. Sell that, John. You get the free joker slot, and for the rest of the game, your temperance value is insane. I think gift card is very slept on for gold stake. Very good. Bean. Yet another mime type thing for me, so I'm going to put it in the same tier as mime. I never have open slots for Bean, ever. I very seldom do I have open slots for Bean. But when I do have an open slot for Bean, and when I take Bean, Bean puts in some work, man. Like, it's again a mime thing in gold stake where like 1 out of every probably 20 runs that I see Bean, I take it. But that 1 in 20 run where I take Bean, he is giving immense value. He is working overtime, and he is not asking for time and a half, dude. He's pretty good. He's pretty good. Erosion. Okay, so this is yet again where I'm going to lose some people. And I talked about erosion was a major talking point in my what I want to see changed in the new Balatro update video. Erosion is a good joker in a vacuum. It's a very good scaling joker in a vacuum, but I just like never take it. Like ever. Because like literally one of the worst mult scalers, I really don't like erosion. I think it's definitely a C tier, and it might be the only C tier mult scaler. In theory, it's really good because you want to be fixing cards, and then you also get like scaling plus mult for fixing cards, which is just benefit on top of benefit. But like in the early game, you're always taking it speculatively because it's difficult to scale, and you can't predict when you're going to scale it because the only ways to scale it are like Sixth Sense and trading card and stuff of the like, and Hanged Man and Glass and shit like that. So like it's always speculative if you take it in the early game. And in the late game, you like, I feel like I always have something better than it. Like in the late game where it would be maybe like 50 to 60 mult, I'm committed to my build, and it's not like, it's either not any better or it's like marginally better than what I'm running. So like I don't know. I don't like erosion. I'm putting it in C tier. A good joker in theory, but it's just so difficult to use. Like erosion is yet another joker where like I don't remember the last time I took it. Reserved parking. This is again one where I'm gonna lose some people. I think reserved is, I really want to put it in C. I don't think I can, but I don't like reserved parking, and that's the reserved parking. Me putting it in B is just like, or me wanting to put it in C. I think it's fair at B. Me wanting to put it in C is just because I'm an idiot and I don't feel like I utilize it very well. I feel like reserved parking is like one of the harder econ jokers to consistently get value out of. Even if you're playing like high card or some stuff like that, I think it's just like kind of difficult to get value out of in terms of like the other, or in comparison to like some of the other econ jokers. It's not bad at all. You can still get a lot of money out of it, but I just don't, I don't know. I don't love parking. Rebate, S tier. The best econ joker in the game, and it's not close. For gold stake, there's one better for white stake, in my opinion. We'll get there. If Bacon's in chat, he knows what it is, because it's the thing that he obsesses over. But for gold stake specifically, rebate is S. Insane amount of money for like actually no work whatsoever. And if you're deck fixing towards a specific rank at all, mail-in works in the same way as idle. So like it's less punishing if it hits something other than, if you have like 7 kings and 4 of every other rank in your deck, it's less punishing than idle if it hits anything else, because it only cares about the rank. So you're still getting like 10, 15 bucks if it whiffs on kings. But if it hits those 7 kings, then you're just getting like a bunch of value. You're getting rewarded for better deck fixing. It's just so good. And $5 per discarded rank is disgusting. It's so good. Why are you suspending the white stake econ joker to get people to watch the rest of the video? Does rebate need to be nerfed? I think so. I think it should. I think it's in a similar vein to Chad, where it either needs a direct buff to stats, or it needs to be pushed to uncommon for balancing. To the Moon. I think To the Moon's kind of bad. I don't know. I'm gonna put him in C. It's $5 if you're at interest cap, and we're ranking these in a gold stake context. So if you're playing gold stake, you should be at interest cap, but like $5 is not a lot. Now it has the caveat of if you have seed money, it becomes $10, and then it's actually, I would say, an above average econ joker, and especially if you have money tree, which if you have money tree and gold stake, you're probably already chilling. But money tree to the moon is $20, which is insane value. But on the average run where you're not going to be rocking seed money, and this is just going to be adding $5 to your bank account every blind, it's not terrible, but it's not like broken or anything. It's very, very mid. Very mid. I don't know. Maybe I should put it in B. I feel like if Cloud9 is in B, I got to put it in B, but it doesn't, I don't know. Like $5 a blind is not bad, but for some reason Cloud9's 4 feels better than To the Moon's 5. I don't know why that is, but it just does in my head. I don't know. Cloud9 works in Ante 1. That's kind of what I'm getting at, Bacon, is like To the Moon sucks in the early game. Like ideally mid to late game you should be getting $5 of interest every blind, but also mid to late game I feel like you never have gold joker unless you're like trying to gold sticker it. I don't know. Cloud9 is better when you're trying to produce econ from nothing. I'm putting To the Moon back in C just based on vibes. I don't like it. It's hard to take. I don't know. No, I'll put it in B because of the niche with seed money. I just don't like it, man. I really want to put it in C, but I think that's unfair. I just don't like To the Moon that much. Hallucination. I think it's A. Hallucination's really good. You're going to be opening... Hallucination is a lot along the lines of Red Card, where you're going to be opening packs anyway, and Hallucination doesn't even need you to skip the pack to get value off of it, and if you're ripping packs anyway, getting tarot cards from ripping the packs is just, like, really good value, I think. Hallucination is very good. Yeah, Hallucination is very inoffensive. It rewards you for something that you're going to be doing anyway, and the reward is very big. Again, tarot cards, kind of broken. Kind of slept on. Very good. Very good. Fortune Teller is in a really weird spot for me. I think it clutches up in a lot of runs where other scaling molt is not as consistent. But, like... It's just not good in the majority of runs. Also, why is this motherfucker $6 in the shop? Can somebody explain this to me? Why is Fortune Teller $6? Can we have this talk, actually, now that I'm on this high horse? He's getting C tier just because of that. Why is Fortune Teller $6? It's the erosion argument because it's retroactive? Who cares? You're talking about erosion right now. Yeah, Fortune Teller should be $4. I feel like Fortune Teller being $4 literally doesn't make it, like, any better than Grimbo or any of the other, like, plus mult scalers that are in A tier. I feel like Fortune Teller could be $4 in the shop and it would still be getting B tier on this list, absolute maximum. But Fortune Teller being $6, that's like the biggest that's like the biggest problem that I have with it. Fortune Teller being $6 is so stupid. He's getting bottom of seed just because he's $6. If he was 4, I would consider putting him in B. But $6 Fortune Teller is so dumb. Retroactive ones are vulnerable to perishable. Can this... Oh, yeah, it can be perishable, too. Wow, Fortune Teller's so much ass, man. Juggler. I don't know where to put Juggler, honestly. I don't take Juggler, like, at all in gold stake. +1 hand size is so good for straight builds and steals and golds. I can see the steals and golds argument, but, like, why are you... Is Juggler really worth the Joker slot if you're playing straights? I feel like not. I mean, I kind of can't talk on it because I feel like I'd never pick this up, but like I feel like it's not worth. I'll put him in C. Chat's telling me to put him in C. This is going to be like the one time where I'll lean on chat as a crutch because I just genuinely don't know where to put this guy. I never take him. I feel like he's so hard to get. Like +1 hand size, I feel like is just on the cusp of being like something really good, but also on the cusp of like not mattering. I don't know. Drunkard, I do want to put above Juggler though, specifically because there are a lot of discard effects that Drunkard synergizes with early game that make discards very valuable. Like +1 rebate hit, +1 purple seal opportunity, +1 faceless Joker hit. I think Drunkard is... You're probably not keeping him as like... You're probably not building around Drunkard, but Drunkard works very well as like a quasi-econ Joker for situations like that, and I think it's enough to put him in B tier. Even just getting the extra discard back if you have an extra Joker slot, it just never feels bad, right? I don't mind Drunkard whatsoever. Stone Joker, F tier. Scaling chip Jokers are good. This just fails at like everything that a scaling chip Joker wants to be, because this wants you to just add rocks into your deck. First off, if I'm adding rocks into my deck, why do I need a scaling chips Joker? Because rocks kind of are the scaling chips if I'm adding more and more in them into my deck. But also, like, how many rocks am I adding for this to be worth? Probably if I'm building around Stone Joker, I'm adding like 8 rocks into my deck to get this to a plus 200. Like, when am I ever needing 8 rocks in my deck for a Stone Joker? Stone Joker's just so... He's just, like, when would you ever take this besides on Plasma? Obviously, yeah, people are saying might be good in Plasma. It's obviously good in Plasma, but, like, outside of Plasma, why are you ever taking this Joker? I don't think it's... I can't even see a niche for Stone Joker. I feel like Stone Joker is more so the unusable part than the 2 niche part of F tier. It's just counterintuitive. Your reward for adding big chip cards into the deck is more chips. Like, when am I ever going to need more chips if my deck is a shitload of rocks? It's just kind of stupid. I don't know. Gold Joker is B, I think. If Cloud9 is B and if To the Moon is B, I think Gold Joker is B. Just a very respectable $4 every blind. Only ends up costing $3. Not bad. Very, very inoffensive. Not not the greatest value generator, but still like a solid Econ Joker, and I think a solid W voice crack. I think a solid Econ Joker is an above average Joker, like, in general. Glumbus, aka the Lucky Cat. Am I crazy for saying this is too niche to be A? I feel like every Joker tier list that I've seen puts Glumbus at like A tier or above. But I just feel like this is too niche. The upside is big because if you get lucky triggers, like, you're usually the thing that you care about most from lucky triggers is money. So if you're already like scoring lucky cards and you're getting the money and you're getting the molt off of them anyway, then obviously getting X molt as well for the rest of the game is like a huge upside. But, like, how many runs on average in Gold Stake are you running enough lucky cards for Lucky Cat to be anything above, like, a 2x? You're looking for a single lucky hit, not to consistently hit luckies. This is, like, times 0.25 per round. Dude, I feel like even if you're scoring, like, 4 lucky cards per blind, this is probably not times 0.25 per blind. I'll put it in A just because, like, if you have enough lucky cards to support it, it's really good, but I don't know, man. Like, I feel like Lucky Cat a lot of the time is just kind of a pass. I guess it does get a little bit of help from the fact that it only spawns when you have lucky cards. So if you don't have lucky cards and you just don't care about Glumbus anyway, you're not going to see it. Yeah, okay, I could see A being respectable then. I could see A being respectable for sure. It's like B, I think it's too conditional. I don't know. It's conditional, but it's strong enough to where I could see it being A. I'll keep it in A. People in the comments can argue. Baseball might be controversial. Baseball's S. You can turn your brain off in like every baseball card run ever. If you find a baseball card, especially so if you already have uncommon Jokers, but even if you only have like 1 uncommon, obviously you're not taking this if your full lineup is like commons and rares, but if you have 1 uncommon, you can just pivot into all uncommons, and then baseball's nasty. Baseball, the X-Molt that baseball gives you stacks up so easily. And like uncommon Jokers usually are like, I would say the average uncommon Joker is like a pretty solid gold stake Joker. So like I'm never sad to get a baseball card. Baseball card is actually just like a lobotomite build. It's very good. Bull. I'm going to put Bull in B. I think you could definitely make an argument that Bull is A, just because it's like 2 chips per dollar is actually a pretty good rate, IMO. I think 2 chips per dollar is like... It's a pretty good rate. It's a pretty good rate. Much better than Bootstrap's rate for molt, I would say. But like, a lot of the times you're not going to have a ton of money on gold stake, right? Like in the runs where you get like goofy shit like Bull Bootstraps, obviously you're going to have like $400 to your name, and then Bull's just going to be insane. But like the average gold stake run, the majority of gold stake runs probably are not going above $100 ever, right? So like Bull does a job and it does its job good and it rewards good financial it rewards you being like good with finance, which you need to be good with finance to beat Gold Stake anyway, but like it's not great. It's not great. Jokajola. Jokajola's in a weird spot. I always take Jokajola when I see it because the double tag is very funny and it only costs me $3 for a double tag. That's what I'm saying. Or that being said, what the hell? I can't talk, man. It's been 3.5 hours. My brain is cooked. That being said, I can count on one hand the amount of times that I have ever used a double tag from Jokajola. I always take it just because like haha double tag funny. In all of my 700 hours of Gold Stake, I don't have 700 hours in Gold Stake, but I have 700 hours in this game. In all of my hours of Gold Stake, though, I could literally count on one hand how many times I've used the Jokajola double tag. It's not good. It's not good. It's F tier. I take it the only F tier that I will take every single time I see it in the shop if I have an open slot. But an F tier nonetheless because it is literally a -$3 button for me. Unless it's rental, in which case it is a cosmetic double tag. Put Cola in its own tier. I'm not putting Cola in its own tier. Should I put Cola in its own tier just for the meme? Because I do always take Cola. We'll put Jokajola in its own tier. I feel like that's funny. Always take, never use. Cola. I'm just going to call it Cola tier. People are watching the video. They know what I mean. Cola. Jokajola. There we go. Trading card. I feel like trading card's A. If gift card is A and if Midas is A, I feel like trading card is A. That might be a bit high, but deck fixing and econ at the cost of a discard. Normally it's a fair trade, right? Normally it's a fair trade. $3 and fixing one card, so like half a hungman at the cost of a discard. That's trading a discard for pure shop value, $4.50. Pretty good. Pretty good. Solid Joker. Pretty much always take it if I see it. Even if I'm playing pair builds that don't care about deck fixing as much, like you still always want a high density of blue seals and stuff like that, right? So pretty much I never skip trading card. I don't think it's like broken, but like I never skip it. It's pretty good. Flash card. I don't think it's quite on the level of Erosion or Fortune Teller, but I don't think it's on the level of Grimbo and the others either. It's a big econ sink, right? The problem with Flash card I think dodges the unusability of Erosion and Fortune Teller because it scales so fast and it scales for something that you're already going to be doing in a vast majority of Gold Stake runs, which is re-rolling the shop. But it's just awkward because if you don't like, you need to have timing to take Flash card. If you take Flash card in the early game, you're taking it too early. But if you take it after like ante 5, probably you're either going to have something better than Flash card, or it's just not going to work, right? It's very weird. When you take it, it works. Like pretty much a lot of the B tier Jokers are like you don't take them a lot, but when you take them, they work, right? Madness, Mime, even Spaceman, Bean, Parking. So like I feel like Flash card at B is a very fair assessment. I'm not gonna lie. You know what? I'm fine with putting it in C tier. Actually, I'm not gonna put it any lower than that, but I'm fine with putting it on the level of Fortune Teller because I've also had runs where Fortune Teller has popped off and done a good job. I think Flash card at C is very fair. Popcorn. Hot take, I don't like Popcorn. It's definitely not F tier, but it is D. Only does anything in the early game, right? Only does literally anything in the early game. If you're taking Popcorn after ante 2, your run is already dead. Pants. Pants might be the only scaling Molt Joker that I would put at S tier. I'm putting Pants S tier. That's maybe disagreeable just on the prospect that it's scaling plus Molt, but like if you find Pants in the shop, you're pivoting to pair instantaneously. If you're that's like my backup. I guess I don't know. It could definitely be A, but Pants is like the one scaling plus Joker in the whole game where like you you just drop everything to pivot 2-pair. It's very hard to throw a pants run is the thing. Like, even with 2-pair being slightly less consistent than pairs, it's so hard to throw a pants run. Like Supernova, you know that your run is going to be stable. Pants, you know your run's gonna win. I feel like is the distinguish between like some of these scaling molt jokers and pants. It's very hard to throw a game with pants. I'm not gonna lie. Ancient Joker. I mean, I'm just gonna put it S. I'm not even gonna lie. Probably some people are gonna argue with me about not putting it in A, but very seldom do I find an Ancient Joker build that... Very seldom do I find a run, even in Gold Stake, where I take an Ancient Joker and lose. Ancient Joker is so easy to play into. It's literally... Single-handedly makes flush builds better than pair builds? Yeah, absolutely. Ancient Joker is literally the reason to play flushes in Gold Stake. Like, if you find an Ancient Joker in the early antes especially, it is the definitive reason to play flushes over pairs. Flush Ancient Joker is so easy to build, and it's so good. I hate it because it never rolls the suit I want. Well, if you're fixing into like a particular suit, because Ancient Joker hits suits regardless of what you have in your deck. So I will say, if you're fixing into a particular suit to get like quote unquote better Ancient Joker hits, you're throwing. And I think that's why most people die with Ancient Joker. But like Ancient Joker, you usually only need to hit one flush with it to beat a blind. And even if you need to hit 2, like you're still usually okay. Ramen, A tier. Very good with pairs. With the downside that it downgrades when it discards, but it's along the same lines as Grimbo. Usually in the builds that you're playing Ramen in, you don't care enough to discard, and if you do, the times 0.01 X-Molt that you're losing for discarding one card, or even if you're doing a full discard, a lot of the time what you're getting in return for discarding is better than the times 0.05 Molt. Very inoffensive X-Molt Joker. A lot of the times a 2x in tandem with literally any other X-Molt Joker in the entire game is enough to win Gold Stake. So it's Ramen is like completely fine, right? Walkie. Walkie's D. Just barely dodges F because it is like kind of good early game. But if you're building around Walkie outside of White Stake, what are you doing? Not good. Same realm as Scholar. It gives you both chips and molt, which is actually pretty cool for early game, but outside of that, it's just not impactful enough for what it does. And also 10s and 4s are like both pretty bad. 4s get retriggered by hack, 10s get retriggered by nothing, and I don't think either has any synergy outside of walkie-talkie and hack with 4s off the top of my head. So just like pretty underwhelming on-trigger Joker, but like it does a thing. Seltzer. Unconditional retriggers, but it's always perishable. I think it's B tier. There's a lot of cards that you could care about retriggering to get value out of. But I think on the vast majority of runs, you're skipping it. If you're running like Ancient Joker Seltzer, for example, and Seltzer is like, if you have like a really bad planet level and Seltzer is like what's getting you through the blinds, you just need to full skip, which is kind of annoying. But like it does, you know, it gives you value and then it goes away. It's not ass, but like it's not like game warping. It's like okay. Same, yeah, it's like same justification as Mime, I feel like. It gives you value when you take it, but you're not taking it a lot. Castle. The more I've used Castle, the more I like it. I would say it's above average. Maybe if I made this tier list like literally a month or 2 ago, I probably would have put it in C tier. But it's like not bad. Castle pretty much gets saved by the fact that you can fix suits to make it more likely to get hits. I think if Castle was like Ancient Joker, Castle would be C tier for me. But the fact that you can suit fix, usually suit fixing doesn't matter, so like I don't care that much about it, but it is very nice. Castle checkered deck is also like incredibly fun, so that kind of gives it a couple of points. But other than that, it's like, it's not great. Smiley. Probably going to be controversial. I think it's D tier. I think in Gold Stake, like obviously White Stake, you can build around Smiley and be fine. Gold Stake, I think if you are running Smiley after Ante 3, you need to do some evaluation on which Jokers you should be building around. This does not give you enough value to be taking it into the mid to late game, in my opinion. There's just so many better hits, especially for builds that care about like triggering a bunch of face cards. There's just so many better things that you could be running instead of Smiley. Probably if you're getting value out of Smiley anyway, again, this is like kind of a hiker situation for me. If you're getting that much value out of Smiley, probably you're playing a build where like a couple of planet cards is just better than Smiley. Actually, I guess not. That's more a thing for hiker. I guess Smiley is still like 25 mult if you're scoring 5 faces, but like regardless, I don't see Smiley as like consistent scoring unless you have Chad. But that's more so like just glazing Chad instead of Smiley. I don't know. I don't like Smiley. Campfire S tier. Probably controversial. Campfire seems to be the new age obelisk. Again, when you know, a lot of these tier lists on YouTube at least are like fairly old for Balatro. And a lot of people like shit themselves when they see people put obelisk very high. And I think a lot of people have kind of tuned into the fact that obelisk is very good for gold stake, but I think campfire is new age obelisk. I think a lot of people don't like campfire, and I think everybody who doesn't like campfire is just not. I think it's just kind of a skill issue. I think the people who don't like campfire just are bad at managing their econ, or maybe just don't understand how it works. I've had some people come in chat and be like, I thought campfire was destroyed cards, not sold cards. So like maybe there's like a couple of those examples, but like campfire is so good. I understand not liking it because it like resets after every ante, but dude, you can sell so many cards in an ante to where that does not matter at all. And especially if you have like purple seals and stuff, if you have cards in your deck that can give you like tarot cards and shit like that within the blinds, dude, so much scaling. The reset very seldom matters on Campfire. It's so good, man. It's so good. But yeah, it's very easy to scale, especially with the presence in gold stakes specifically of rental jokers. You can oftentimes, until like the very last couple of antes in the game, you can just keep an open joker slot on Campfire runs and just like rotate in and out rental cards and then just take some bullshit into the blind with you that you don't plan on selling until the next shop. And Campfire gets like, it's immensely easy to scale that way. It's so good. If you are a Campfire hater and you're watching this video right now, next time you see Campfire in the shop, unless taking it would kill you instantly, unless you need like the instant gratification type scoring, build Campfire, man. It's so good. It's so good. Cannot recommend that guy enough. Jolden Ticket. Yet another photo example, which is why I'm putting it in D tier. I think photo with no retriggers is pretty... I think Jolden Ticket with no retriggers, pretty ass. But Jolden Ticket, the instant you get, like, any retriggers, even with something as modest as, like, a Chad. With Chad, Jolden Ticket is, like, the best econ joker in the game. Surpassing even mail-in, unless you have, like, an idle deck. And even then, sometimes it can surpass mail-in. But it's very much like a photograph 8-ball type of thing, where if you're not running retriggers with Jolden Ticket, it's just kind of a dead slot in the shop. But when it pops off, it does pop off. Bones. Also D tier for the same reason that Luchador is D tier. IMO. Can save you from like Vessel, can save you from Wall, can save you from any boss pretty much is like the biggest use of Mr. Bones. But like, at the end of the day, he's a very conditional joker, a very conditional joker. You need to be able to pivot out of something that's already in your lineup in order to take a Mr. Bones and not die the next subsequent blind if you don't find something better. And also, like, 9 times out of 10, when you need a Mr. Bones, you're just not going to draw him, right? I just don't love Mr. Bones. He's I at best. I think D tier is very respectable for Mr. Bones. Acrobat. Pretty cheeks. Same problem as Dusk, where like it's a good, like ×3 mult is not bad, but it's only ×3 mult on your last hand. This is pretty much like the quintessential mid-game X-Mult Joker. You want if Acrobat is procking, you're spending all of your money on your hands to get it to proc, and then it's only a ×3 for your last hand, which is like usually not that good. I think probably I'll put it in the same tier as Dusk. I think you could justify moving Dusk up to B tier even and keeping Acrobat at C, but I think I'm just going to keep both of them at C. They're reliable, but they're awkward at best. Sock. I want to say Sock is above average just because face cards have so many synergies, and Sock just re-triggers face cards, which is kind of insane. I think Sock is an above average re-trigger Joker, but like at the end of the day, it's still wanting you to play big hands, which is a bit risky. But like if you have Sock, maybe you have like Photo and stuff like that, that makes it a bit more enticing. I think Sock is pretty good. Re-triggers don't do too much. On the average run, it doesn't, but usually it's fine. Like on the runs where re-triggers don't matter, you don't take Sock, and on the runs where re-triggers are going to give you good value, you take Sock, and then you're like actually chilling. Swash. Swash is C tier. Swash is C tier. Not great. Not great value. Maybe it's B, actually. Probably it's B if, like, halvesies and abstract are B. The problem with Swash is that it's just, like, by the time that you get Jokers with high sell values, unless you're literally using it with Egg or Gift Card, you probably don't need plus mult Jokers, right? I think C is completely respectable for Swash. Because by the time you're getting a Joker lineup where Swash is, like, plus 15, plus 16 mult, you probably have a ton of uncommons and, like, a rare or two. So you're probably already in, like, mid to late game. I don't think he's on the same level of, like, consistency as, like, halvesies or abstract or something of that nature. I think C for Swash is completely fine. Troubadour. This is yet another card that I don't have a ton of experience with. I will say, Troubadour is, like, kind of along the same lines as Shortcut, where it just enables straights much easier. And the added hand size does let you keep some value cards in your deck, but -1 hand is usually kind of bad. I do like Troubadour, though. I'm not experienced with Troubadour, but I do like him. I think I would put Troubadour at a solid B. I don't think it's quite to the level of, like, straight consistency as Shortcut. I don't think it's to the same level of value as, like, Midas or Trading Card or Gift Card. But I think it's a solid Joker that you can build around and just have a goofy little, like, straights build. It's budget painted deck. Yeah, it's pretty much just budget painted deck is a good way of putting it. And, like, painted deck is really good, right? So I'm fine with Troubadour at B. I do think this is weaker than Juggler. I don't think it's weaker than Juggler. +2 hand size is pretty damn good, even at a Joker slot. The -1 hand sucks, but I don't think it's weaker than Juggler. Certificate. Certificate I'm going to overrate. I'm going to tell you that I'm overrating it right out the gate so that you don't get mad at me. I mean, you can still get mad at me, but I'm just going to let you know that I'm overrating it, so now I reserve the right to not care when you get mad at me. I put it in A tier. Certificate is like my pet Joker, man. I think everybody has one Joker that regardless of how bad or good it is, you just always take it when you see it, and for me, that Joker is Certificate. Certificate is, on average, just a lot of miscellaneous value. Red Seal is probably the worst hit, but if you're playing a build that cares about retriggers, Red Seals can be extremely polarizing for just winning entire runs. Blue Seals are broken. Blue Seals win gold stake runs. Even gold seals are just, like, not bad value. Like, +2 on a hand net value is pretty damn good, and if you have retriggers, that makes them even better. And purple seals are just free tarot cards. I think Certificate is really good. Smeared Joker. I really hate Smeared Joker because I am not a flush player, and Smeared Joker just appeals to flush players and flush players only. This just says Smeared Joker is essentially just, hey, your deck fixing can be bad at the cost of a Joker slot, which, like, yay. I think it's so bad. There are builds, obviously, where it does more work than others, like Idol. I know Idol's horrible in Gold Stake, but, like, Idol Smeared Joker can be a little bit of tech. Ancient Joker, Smeared Joker, if you're bad at deck fixing, or if you're, like, for some reason not evenly suited, maybe if you get really unlucky with an Immolate, sometimes it can save you, but more often than not, I think it's just really bad for what it's worth. It's just not worth the Joker slot, right? You would rather just have... I mean, I'm not even a flush player at all, but, like, it's literally what I said initially. Smeared Joker is just, hey, I can take up a Joker slot and you can be shite at deck fixing. which like who cares? I'm putting Smeared in F. I don't care. Smeared Joker and Four Fingers. You can really tell that I'm prejudiced against flush builds and Gold Stake, but I just think it's Smeared Joker's so bad. When am I ever taking Smeared Joker and having it matter? I don't care, man. Okay, this is gonna make some people sad. This is gonna make some people sad, but I don't care. It's the same thing as the photo take. It's just the truth. Throwback's F, dude. Throwback is F, and it's not close. Skipping is already, on average, not even on average, a vast majority of the time, skipping is a net loss in value, unless you're on Anaglyph deck. Unless you're on Anaglyph deck, skipping is a net loss in value, and the equivalent of scaling hologram one time is still not enough to make up for that. Throwback being times 0.25 scaling instead of times 0.5 scaling is almost insulting. It is just not even remotely close to the justification that you would need to take a skip unless you literally are taking like back-to-back investment tags. It just sucks in Gold Stake. Is it very fun? Yeah. Throwback on like a fun tier list is S, indisputably. But for Gold Stake, oh my god, what a bad Joker. You're skipping shops and probably getting like a dogshit spectral pack, and you get, again, the equivalent of one hologram scale in return. Yippee. Not good. Not good. Ass. Okay, probably the most predictable rating of the entire night, besides maybe my Baron take. This is probably something that I will surprise literally nobody with. Chad is S tier. Is Chad necessarily an auto win by itself? No. But Chad, dude, I said it in the update video that I made. Chad is the displacer kitten of Balatro. It combos with everything. It's so easy to combo with Chad for scoring, for econ, for just anything that you need at any given moment. It is Balatro's most versatile Joker. It fits into any build. It's a lot along the lines of Perkeo. I'm not gonna rank Perkeo yet, but it's along the same lines of Perkeo. Regardless of what build you're playing, regardless of what playstyle you have, you can fit it into any run, and it can play any position that you need it to. GOAT. It is the best all-rounder in this entire game. So good. So good. Rough Gem. Pretty ass. I think Rough Gem is probably, I don't want to say the worst of these like gem jokers, of these like mineral jokers, because I think Bloodstone is also really bad. But Rough Gem is like kind of not good. Just gonna keep it a stack. I think Rough Gem in D is very fair. Are there builds where you're gonna be happy to pick up a Rough Gem if you have like a lot of retriggers and if you happen to be building flushes? Yeah, I think Rough Gem's fine. But usually you're just never taking it, man. I don't think Rough Gem is good. Bloodstone, I think similarly is D tier. In the same vein as Photo, if you don't have retriggers, Bloodstone screws you over so many times. I'm putting, honestly, just out of spite, I'm putting Bloodstone in Misprint tier. Bloodstone and Misprint tier, Bloodstone and Misprint both deserve D tier, but just out of how many times that they've whiffed for me personally, Bloodstone's getting the shaft, man. Every time, every single time I pick up Bloodstone without retriggers, never procs, ever. Every single time. You can never take Bloodstone speculatively, ever. You have to take Bloodstone if you have retriggers. Otherwise, it just actually does nothing. It's not good. It's not good. So bad. Arrowhead. Arrowhead, I think, is fine. Arrowhead, I think, is actually above average. Even if you're just playing pairs, like plus 100 chips if you just if you just deck fix some of your shit into spades is like pretty good. I also want to give it an honorable mention, and I'm going to keep it in B tier, even though people probably want to move it down. Arrowhead is like actually an auto win on Plasma deck. Arrowhead is for Plasma deck what Hologram is for like any other deck. Arrowhead on Plasma is like actually disgusting. It's so good. It's so good. Onyx Agate, early game warrior after that. I'll put it on the same par as Fib. Early game menace. If you take this in the early game, you're just not dying for the first 3 antes, but after that I feel like it falls off quite a bit. On trigger plus molt is just really bad after a certain point, like regardless of how high it is. Even if it's like Agate or Fib, on trigger plus molt is just so bad after a given amount of time. I don't know. I don't like it. Probably people would rank it slightly higher. I could see people putting it in above average, but I just think it's pretty bad. Glass Joker is along the same lines as Bloodstone for me, where it's really good if you get it to do its thing, but like whenever I have a Glass Joker, my shit just don't be breaking, and it does make me angry. I think Glass is average though. You only need one. The thing is, like Bloodstone, you need to get lucky with every single hand you play it. With Glass, you need to get lucky one time for a Glass break, and then it's a better polychrome. And then every Glass break after that just makes the run more free. Maybe I put it in B tier because of that. You know what? I'll move it up to B. I think it's not on the same level as Acrobat. You only really need one Glass break. Like if you don't get the Glass break, then obviously Glass Joker is just buns. But you only need one Glass break for it to be playable, and you only need like any more than one Glass break makes it a far above average X-Molt Joker in my opinion. I think it's pretty good. Showman. Yet another Baron and Idol example. I think it's not quite on the same realm as them for me to put it in misprint tier, but yet another like Baron Idol situation where Showman's phenomenal for like endless runs where you have like a ton of money and can be re-rolling the shops for like extra blueprints. But like Showman and Gold Stake just does actually nothing. Has anybody ever taken Showman in Gold Stake? I don't think so. Showman is misprint tier and it's not close. I just don't want to put it in misprint tier because Baron and Idol are down there. You know what? I'll throw it in there actually. I don't think I've ever taken it except for the gold sticker. It's just not, you're not re-rolling enough. Even on runs where you have a ton of money, you're not re-rolling enough for this to be valuable ever. I'll put it in misprint tier. That's fair. Flower Pot. Flower Pot's D, man. Really hard to make work. And when it does the job of Card Sharp, which like yippee. It's like Flower Pot just pisses me off. Is ×3 molt good in a Gold Stake context? Yeah, absolutely. But like Flower Pot's just not worth the work investment. It's the same. It is a less offensive version of Baron. You need to be playing bare minimum 2 pairs so that you're scoring 4 cards with 4 different suits. And the upside of doing so is a ×3, which is like the most common X-Molt in the entire game. Not good. Another wildcard enabler? Yeah, but it's a really bad one. Like, I would still say wildcards are not worth it in Flower Pot. But I would also just not take Flower Pot in the first place. Obviously, wildcards boost your odds, but like, I'm really questioning what you're doing if you're taking Flower Pot in the first place. I just don't like it, man. It's not good. Blueprint. Okay, I said Chad was going to be the most predictable ranking. Probably Blueprint was. I feel like this needs no explanation. Blueprint at S tier. Brainstorm at S tier for the same reason. I'm just going to rank these both at the same time. I feel like that needs literally no explanation. Brainstorm's slightly worse than Blueprint because it's only able to copy one particular slot as opposed to just anything in your Joker lineup. So there are some circumstances where like you're copying worse Jokers with Brainstorm just because of how it works. But Blueprint, you're literally copying the best Joker in your lineup for whatever situation you're in. So if you have a mail-in rebate and a card sharp, you can copy the mail-in rebate to double your money when you're using your discards, and then when you're playing your hands, you can copy the card sharp, just slide the Blueprint over, and double your points. So Blueprint is essentially just double econ, double points in every scenario that it's in. Very good. Brainstorm is like marginally worse, but it's still number 2 Joker in the entire game for the same reason, because usually not like 9 out of 10 builds, Brainstorm is just double econ, double points as well. Very good, very broken. Wii Joker. I don't think Wii Joker is S tier. It's A bare minimum. I might put it in S pure. I don't think it's S. Just like personally. But putting it in the same tier as Square Joker feels wrong, so I'm just gonna put it in S tier. Just like based off of that. It's very easy to snowball with Wii Joker, and it's the best, like, even with such a niche condition for activation, scoring a 2, giving you 8 chips for the rest of the game. Like, even if you just play, like, pairs of 2s and you deck fix for 2s, this is by far the best chip scaler in the entire game. This is probably consistently, like, at least a ×2 in terms of chips, probably realistically a ×3 if you get, like, any retriggers or whatsoever. Andy. This is a Joker that I used to pick up a lot, and I find myself picking up less and less. I don't like Andy. I think Andy's average. More discards can be useful, more purple seals, more mail-in value, etc., and so on. But -1 hand size really blows. And usually, Andy's kind of counterintuitive, because usually, unless you're taking it strictly as an econ Joker for tarot cards or for, like, mail-in, usually you're taking it in order to find bigger hands, but because you have -1 hand size, I feel like you're finding your bigger hands at roughly the same rate, because you're seeing, like, roughly the same amount of cards. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know. It's very mid. Dice, I think, is above average. I don't think it's A. I don't think Dice is, like, broken as shit, but I think it's above average purely just because Dice lucky cards are kind of nasty. Being able to get the Molt proc can matter, like, once in a while, and that's always nice, but being able to hit that $20 twice as often, kind of gross. Kind of gross. It just doubles the econ output of your lucky cards, essentially, along with giving you, like, maybe Bloodstone value, maybe Space Joker value. Like, even if this was just, like, lucky cards are twice as often to proc, I'd probably put it above average. Maybe I put it in A. I'll put it in A. I don't use it enough to, like, to say definitively I know where it should go. I'll put it in A. Lucky cards are very fun. And there's a lot of other interesting synergies with it, so I feel like A is fine. The problem with Dice and A for me is that, like, I don't like to take it speculatively, because there's it's in, like, a really weird space where, like, there's a lot of stuff that works with Dice, but, like, not enough for me to want to take it speculatively, like Chad, right? Because there's a lot of runs where I would take Dice and then just, like, see nothing that works with it, right? And then it's just kind of a dead slot. I don't know. I'll put it in A because it's fun. Lucky cards are broken. Not broken, but very good with it. But it's not, like, consistent or anything, right? Seeing Double. One of the worst X-Molt Jokers in the game, but an X-Molt Joker nonetheless. Probably I put this at C tier. ×2 for just playing a club and some shit that's also not a club. It's not bad. I don't think it's like a godsend in the majority of runs that I get it in, but it can definitely save some runs. I'm fairly fine with putting it in average. There's also just, like, you know, if you get, like, a little bit of bad luck, you can have it not proc, which is annoying. And ×2 again is, like, not huge, but it can, you know, it can save you. It's not bad. Matador, I think people hate on Matador a lot more than they should. I think Matador is definitely above average. Obviously there's a lot of times where you see him that he sucks, but, like, in the inverse, the times where you see him where you can, like, especially so on Suits bosses, even in the early game, Suits bosses are the best case scenario for stuntmen, but even, like, anti-6, if you're just seeing, like, the window or some shit, regardless of what build you're playing, unless I guess you're playing a flush build, you can always just ship, like, a diamond card as a part of your hand and make a quick $8 and then rotate him out. He's niche, but, like, he makes up for it. He gives you a lot of money. Mostly he's just annoying because nobody who even plays this game, for, like, hundreds, even thousands of hours knows how the hell he works, because he's just so unintuitive with, like, half of the bosses in the game. So I could see that making me want to put him in C tier, but, like, functionally he's a B tier Joker. You can make, like, probably you can make an average of $24 on a boss blind when you're playing against boss blinds that can trigger him. I think he's really slept on. I think he's good. Shit the Road. There's a reason that we call this Shit the Road. This is along the same lines as, like, a Baron or a Flower Pot. If you can deck fix for it, it's pretty good, but, like, how many times are you actually deck fixing for this John? Probably not a lot. I'm gonna put him in D tier. There are runs for sure where he's goated. Erratic deck, notably, he's pretty damn good. Also, him being a rare, you see him, like, not often at all, so the amount of times where he's even takeable just diminishes quite a bit. The runs where he pops off, he's like, alright, but the vast majority of the time, he's just ass. The fam. I don't know. I feel like the fam at average is still fine. ×4 mults in exchange for playing a hand as difficult as 4. Honestly, I'm going to put the fam at above average, specifically because I feel like straights and 4 of a kinds are like pretty equivalent in terms of like deck fixing needed / like how often you're going to see them. And the fam is ×4 and straights are ×3. Also, it's much easier to fix into like one rank as opposed to straights needing a bunch of different ranks, and it's just like a hassle to deck fix. I think fam is pretty solid. Not many runs where you get it to work, but it does its thing if you have a lot of ranks fixed. Stuntman. I would put Stuntman in S, honestly. Stuntman, if you find him stickerless, you just play pairs, and 250 chips is like a ×2. At worst, in like late game, I think Stuntman is definitely... okay, actually, caveat. I'm gonna put Stuntman in A, purely because the -2 hand size, it doesn't matter for like pair builds and stuff, but it does mean that usually you can hold less value items in your hand, which is kind of sad. So I'm going to put Stuntman in A. I think he would be high A, but he is A nonetheless. Invis. Hot take. Invis is D. Not many runs where Invis matters at all in Gold Stake. Not going to lie. Very much so like another like photo instance. Not many runs where Invis does jack shit. And even less where even if it did something, you would be willing to rotate out of a Joker for 2 rounds in order to pop the Invis. I think Invis is so incredibly overrated for Gold Stake. Satellite. I think a lot of people are going to disagree. Satellite's F for me, man. I almost never take Satellite. I almost never take Satellite. Ever. When, like, the amount of builds where you're even like popping more than one type of planet card is already pretty low. And on top of that, the amount of builds where you're popping more than one type of planet card and you also have the open Joker slot for Satellite to get value in the first place, they're very few and far between. I think Satellite is way too niche for what it is, and it needs, at the very least, some kind of buff, but I would like to see it be reworked into somehow utilizing your most played hand, or if it was like common and if it was like decreased in price. If it was like a common Joker that maybe cost $5, I wouldn't hate that. But Satellite being uncommon and like the most I've ever seen it give me in Gold Stake is like $6 and ante 7. Just not that good. Just not that good. I don't like him. I don't think I ever take him. Shoot. D tier. Scaling Molt Joker, this is probably going to be controversial. Scaling Molt Joker whiffs way too often for me to consider it, like, ever. And also, it's a scaling Molt Joker that requires deck fixing, which, like, yeah, queens aren't exactly the worst rank to be fixing into, but, like, why do I need deck fixing for this to not just beat my ass every single time? More often than not, you're getting Shoot the Moon in the early game. You are playing 3 blinds with it and making more than enough score to win, and then you are playing a 4th blind with it, not top decking a queen out of your entire deck and just dying. Not a big Shoot the Moon fan whatsoever. Driver's License. Driver's License is in a weird spot for me. I'm warming up more to it, but it's still like an erosion-esque Joker where like you need to take it speculatively if you see it and it's not turned on. Obviously, if you see it and turned on, it's just a Cavendish, which is fire. But if you see it and it's not turned on, you're taking it speculatively, which at times, like Driver's License, if it's not turned on, I feel like is bait almost all the time. If you're rotating out of something for it, that is. I would be fine putting it in. I mean, unconditional ×3 mults is really good. It's just so awkward when you find it and it's not turned on. I'll put it in A just because ×3 unconditional is so good, but there are a lot of times where I see it and it's like 9 out of 16 and I take it and I just never turn it on and then I die. Cartomancer. Yet another very controversial take, I think. I think Cartomancer's C at very best. I really want to put it in D tier, but I think people would be rioting in the streets if I put it in D tier. I think Cartomancer is so overrated, man. A lot of the time in Gold Stake when I play, this is also just a play style thing. When I play Gold Stake, I do a lot of blocking. I'll just take random shitter tarot cards and keep them for like a long time, provided I don't have blue seals. If I don't have blue seals, I'm obviously not blocking because I want the blue seal value. But like a lot of the times in Gold Stake, I just find myself having full slots going into the blind. And so if I have full slots going into the blinds, then Cartomancer's just a dead slot. And also like one tarot card per blind. It's not the worst. It pays for itself because it's $6. You get 3 back in sell value, and then the first tarot card it generates you is $3 for talking shop value. So like Cartomancer is kind of always free to an extent, but like I feel like I always block Cartomancer. I don't know. It's just it's definitely a playstyle thing more than anything, but I feel like it's so overhyped. I'm not a big fan of Cartomancer. It feels pretty weak. Astronomer. Not terrible. I think I would also put Astronomer at the same place as Cartomancer. Astronomer, if you find it in a shop that has any Celestial pack, again, just based off of raw shop value, if you find it in a shop that has any Celestial pack, it instantly pays for itself. So it's an econ joker that you can kind of always take, but it's also kind of the thing where, like, if I don't have Telescope and I'm taking an Astronomer and then immediately taking a free Celestial pack, like, eventually I'm going to get a hit, so it's kind of cool in that regard. But if I'm playing straights and I rip a Celestial pack for free with Astronomer and it's Mercury, Pluto, I don't know, Jupiter, like, just kind of a big who cares. But also you can make the case, like, you're going to open that planet pack anyway and get scammed, so might as well open it for free. I think if you have a free slot, Astronomer is, like, never a bad play. But I'm not a big fan of it. Also kind of warming up to it. There was definitely a point in my life where I would put Astronomer at F tier. But the more I play with it, the more I realize he's kind of good. He's I don't know. He's not the best. Burnt Joker. I think Burnt Joker is really good. Would I put him in S? Honestly, probably. Burnt Joker's disgusting, man. I think he's A tier absolute minimum. Is he on the same level? Maybe Burnt Joker's not on the same level as, like, Vagabond and stuff like that, but Burnt Joker is disgusting for, like, pair builds. I'll put him in A. I think Burnt Joker in A is very respectable. But Burnt is, like, disgusting if you get him early. And even if you get him late, it's a pretty good amount of value. Bootstraps. Another average Joker, I would say. I think Bootstraps is very C tier. This is, again, another example like Bull, where, like, if you have a lot of money, he does a thing, and he does a thing very well. But also, like, how many Gold Stake runs are you going above, like, even like $60? Unless you have seed money, like, how many non-seed money Gold Stake runs are you going above $60? Probably not a lot. And Bootstraps does, like, not much. Bootstraps does, like, for how much money you need for him to proc, he does, like, almost nothing at all. He only gets saved from D tier, in my opinion, because he's a scaling Molt Joker, and scaling Molt Jokers are, like, kind of all good to some extent. But, like, to put it in perspective, Bootstraps needs you to have $40 in the bank to be +1 Molt better than an Abstract Joker. I think that's a really bad ratio for an uncommon Joker. I feel like that's ass. I feel like that is dog doo-doo, but I don't know. I just think he's really underwhelming for what he's worth. Canio. Probably S tier. With the caveat that if you don't find a hung man, you're just fucked. But if you find one hung man with Canio, you kind of just win because it's just a Cavendish, right? So I think that's a fine place to put him as an S. I think he's completely manageable as an S tier. You only need to proc him like one time for him to just be goated. And there's a lot of runs where, like, you know, the meme is you never find a hungman on Canio runs, and then he feels kind of bad, but, like, he's chill. Trib is probably also S. It's just photo, but way better. Maybe Trib is not S. I think Trib is A, because he does require a little bit of deck fixing. And he wants you to play big hands. But like if you have the econ to back up Trib's really good. I think I wouldn't put him in S. I don't think he's an auto win. But it's really easy to make Trib pop off. He's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Yo Rick, I'm gonna put in A just because I think Yo Rick is an S tier Joker, and I should be putting him in S, but I'm gonna put him in A just because he feels really underwhelming as a legendary, specifically on blue stake and above. I think on a strict power level basis, Yo Rick is definitely an S tier. So I'm like acknowledging that I am underrating him here. But on blue stake and above, he just feels he feels very unimpactful for a legendary. For a legendary Joker, he just feels kind of meh. Especially if you get him like after a certain point in the run, it's just gonna be like, okay, this is a ×2, this is a ×3, yippee. I don't know. Shiko, I gotta put in the same place as Shiko's average. Shiko is C tier. Him being a multi-use luchador is definitely what keeps him out of D tier. Being able to use him against every boss blind that you come across is very nice. There are some runs where it absolutely matters that you find a Shiko. But even just dodging boss blinds, especially with pairs being the meta, there's not a ton of bosses that pairs even really care about. So for a Joker slot, he feels like he kind of has a steep cost. But there are runs where he's impactful for sure. Also, definitely a case of feels like a legendary effect flavor-wise, but power level-wise feels underwhelming for a legendary. Kind of like the opposite problem of Yo Rick. Feels underwhelming from a legendary perspective, but in terms of the power level, not in terms of the effect. And Perkeo is S tier for the same reason that Chad is S tier. Fits into any build, can copy any. It's just a jack of all trades. Regardless of what build you're playing, regardless of what hand you're playing, what play style you personally have when you play Gold Stake, he can copy any consumable card for any particular situation. Even if you're at absolute worst, he's a Golden Joker. That gives you better temperance value. At absolute worst, you're just copying a dogshit planet card that you don't care about every shop, and that's giving you $4 extra. And that is literally the worst that Perkeo will be. So I think he's completely fine as S tier. Completely fine as S tier. All right. W tier list, chat. I feel like this is... Going into this, I was kind of skeptical because there's a lot of Jokers that I haven't really thought of a lot in terms of like a tier list perspective. But I feel like this is fairly comprehensive. I feel like we did a fairly good job at rating Jokers as a whole. I think I know everything about this game. I think anybody who disagrees with me is bad. Just kidding.